with the Rosa call, you apologized for being ableist, but that's about it. You didn't apologize for calling her a hole. You didn't apologize for calling her a whore. You didn't apologize for threatening to call her mom. You didn't apologize for, knowing beforehand that she had all of these conditions and still continuing to let people call her and letting people, berate her for 4 hours. How closely have you worked with a local police department or child safety organization to make sure what you are doing actually protects children and doesn't jeopardize any legal investigation? NCMEC is somebody who offers classes and seminars for child safety. It's the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. So you haven't done any classes in that. Yes, you haven't done any classes in that. UNICEF does classes. You haven't done any classes in that. Have you had any education, any formal education in how to properly report these things? I have a lawyer I can bring in. Can I add a lawyer to this call? Because they want to explain the free speech law.
What state is he a lawyer in? What state is he a lawyer in?
You can ask her. It's a her, by the way.
Lio, you are incredibly incorrect when it comes to the protections afforded by Section 230 to both free speech and as well as other threats made in person. Until or unless someone is making a time, manner, and place-specific threat. The protections, especially under Section 230, as it has not been reformed, are incredibly high for that type of free speech. So yes, you are absolutely allowed to make those threats. It is also incredibly inappropriate for you to think or try to state, oh, so these things are all right to you as opposed to legal. You know that those are two different standards. First, I want to make sure that they're mentally and physically okay and that they feel safe wherever they are and make sure that they are currently safe. And
which
then
is contradictory. By the way, it's contradictory directly to what Lio does, because he has had Jordyn directly confront one of their predators. So
what? Why? Why would you do that?
Why? Because it wasn't somebody that was sitting there sending them. It was somebody who was talking and orbiting around them, and it was also something Jordyn demanded.
If you're putting the welfare of the victim first, it doesn't matter if they demand it. They don't. That is not healthy for them. That is not protecting them. All right. Well, welcome. Thank you for agreeing to do the interview with me. I really appreciate it. I know you've been under a lot of heat, especially recently. I guess, part of the reason why I want to do an interview is I think it's a good way for you to get your side of the story out, and as well as people to ask pretty pointed questions and get clarification on things, right? So I guess if you want to just give an intro to who you are, introduce yourself to the chat for people who don't know who you are, I guess.
Okay, well, I'm Lio Convoy. I'm a dork that would prefer to talk about things like comics, cartoons, and action figures, but I've been doing predator hunting and trying to help people for the past 6 years, and with fluctuating results, to say the least.
Okay. And when did you start making content?
2016, if you can call it content.
Okay, that's cool. So you like to focus on dorky kind of stuff, but you have encountered a decent amount of at least success in viewership, at least through the Predator Hunter content.
Well, not even through the Predator Hunter content specifically. It's more of just dealing with unpleasant individuals, because even if you go on my channel, there's not as much predator hunting content as you'd probably assume. Most of the content is dealing with nefarious individuals of different calibers. It's not all predators.
Okay. And then also, I've heard that you're a religious person as well.
Well, I guess you could call me a religious person. I'm a practicing Christian. I screw up, but I try.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Were you always religious, or is that something that's recent in your life?
It's not recent. It's something I've always been.
Okay, that's cool. And does your religiosity influence your content at all, or?
It influences, well, if you're going to be a theological individual, it's going to influence every aspect of your life.
Okay. In what ways do you think it influences you?
Well, in general, even though I fail to, abide by it in several instances, it influences the moral values, and influences what you do, how you act, how you try to conduct yourself, things you will say, things you won't say, people you'll be around, stuff like that.
Okay. For sure. I think it's kind of interesting because I feel like I look into the art commentary community and I see like a bunch of people who are into really weird things. And so it's a little bit weird for me to like know that you are religious and you say it influences like who you hang out with and who you surround yourself with. And it's mostly, I hate to say it, but like the art community to me looks like pretty degenerate, you know? So.
Well, excuse me. I'm sorry, I'm recovering from a cold. The art community, there's some people from that I hang around, even though people keep lumping me in with the Art CC. Like, you're not going to see Art CC content on my channel. Like, they're just around.
Okay. Yeah. So for some reason, you seem to have like at least attracted a decent crowd from the art commentary community.
And I can tell you why that is. It's because a lot of people who watch the calls, they draw while watching it. That's why.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. Prior to me like kind of getting into this and kind of investigating myself, I had mostly people who would like play video games when they would watch me or they would listen to me. And now, it's very different to have people who were like drawing while they're listening to you. It's very, very interesting. So, yeah. Okay,
I'm an artist myself, so I get wanting to have background noise. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Really? No, it's fine. I didn't know you're an artist. So what kind of art do you do?
Most people don't know I'm an artist, so it's okay. It varies. I worked for an indie comic company for about 3 years, and of course I just do random fan art, or sometimes I'll do thumbnails for people. It all depends.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, so like I guess we should just get right into it with the drama, the current drama in the art commentary community. So, there's a lot of moving parts, and I think I'm just going to focus on, like, a couple of things here, because there's just so much, and honestly, I don't think either one of us want to go into this, like, encyclopedia of knowledge of everybody else's lore. But what happened recently within the drama art community that you think caused this big explosion in drama, I guess, in your words? What do you think happened?
Well, there's people randomly picking up a call from over a year ago to talk about, which was the Rosa call. And I've made it very clear in my content and my discussions in conversation with other people, that's fair game. I was a complete and utter dickhead in that call. I was monstrous and I wasn't right to do it. So if people want to criticize me, I will take it. I will not clap back. Have fun with it. Do what you need to. Anybody's open to have criticism thrown at me, and I'm one of those people. So you do you. That's one of the things. The other thing would be, well, the stunt Hopeless Peaches decided to pull right after the FCK stuff came to light. So that would be the things that kicked all of it off.
Okay. And what was the stunt that Peaches pulled off?
Basically, baselessly accusing me of being an abuser.
Yeah.
You've seen my video, so I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I have, yeah. So one thing I wanted to, I guess, go over is she accuses you, as well as other children that you have adopted, they have accused you of abusive behavior. And you said, basically, I guess the question that I have is, your response was really, was more of, no, I'm not. Actually, this person is abusive, right? And not to say that you didn't present evidence, right? You did present evidence, at least in the the Peaches case, that, you know, that there was like some decent evidence there that things were not exactly how they portrayed them to be. So I guess one thing so sorry if I mess up pronouns also for people in the chat. I'm really terrible with names and pronouns. So I guess one question that I have is, you said one of the claims that you made in your video was that Jordyn specifically was abusive to you and your wife. What way were they abusive to you and your wife?
Abusive in terms of how they would treat us, how they'd operate around us, things they would do around the house, treating my wife specifically with a lot of cruelty in general by just being a random dickhead. And the unfortunate thing about a lot of this is because they're just claims of conversations that happen in person. It's not something I can immediately obviously pull out substantial evidence for, because who records conversations in their own home?
Yeah, that's fine. Do you have like specific examples you can recall that would, like, specific things that were said?
Well, there was the entire situation we had during Thanksgiving where Jordyn was just a dick to everybody. There was a time Jordyn, during Thanksgiving, tried to accuse me of threatening to hit him to random people on the internet, and when he was confronted about it, he did not like the fact that he was confronted over it. So it's pathological lying on top of a lot of things. Jordyn had an unfortunate habit of that. We worked with Jordyn for a while, and that's why we had Jordyn in the home, because we were trying to help him. And it seemed to me like anytime he had to work on anything or anything was expected of him, he blew up at people.
Can you explain like how they were a dick over Thanksgiving?
Well, stomping around the house, not engaging with anybody properly, backbiting people when they didn't think anybody would hear about it, hence the claims of threatened to strike him, not responding when people were trying to talk to him, and the entire time we were at dinner, he just stared at his plate literally the entire time and refused to engage anybody.
Okay, interesting. And then you've mentioned that Jordyn was abusive towards you. You also say that Peaches may have been abusive as well as manipulative towards you. I guess one question that I have is, you are kind of, in a way, to me, it seems like you are kind of shirking some responsibility, because you're saying, I was manipulated by this person, you know, who's 10 plus years younger than me. And not to say that people can't be manipulated by, you know, by younger people. They certainly can. But I don't see the same energy towards people like Kumo, right? So like like one thing that you were talking about in your video is that you brought up Kumo dating this girl and the whole self-harm stuff. I don't really understand why we're expected to give sympathy for you when you're saying that you were manipulated by a 25-year-old who, you know, lives in a different country, but we can't have sympathy for Kumo, who was pretty young himself when all of that was going on.
Number one, there's a vast difference between what happened there and what happened here. Kumo issue is that, number one, have you seen the actual clip in its entirety?
I've seen the explanation of the clip, and I've seen the clip, yeah. So, but I've seen the full explanation.
You noticed that he was giddy. So did you not notice that he was giddy the entire time, that he took enjoyment out of it?
Yeah, but I think that I think that when you know the context behind it, I mean, it was stupid, right? But I don't think he stands by that now, right? I don't think he stands by that now.
If he didn't stand by it now, he wouldn't be making jokes about it and having people repeat the process, except instead of cutting, making a joke of it using ketchup or lipstick on social media, which is also something I pointed out in the video. The difference here is, number one, I'm not lying about my actions. I do take responsibility for what I have done, regardless of the manipulation, which is something I also stated, that the actions are still mine. Kumo has had a pathological habit of lying about things, which is why he cut down his initial video about it from 23 minutes to 9 minutes.
I think that you can say that he was giddy about that, but then I would say you were pretty giddy in the Rosa call, and so was Peaches. So were multiple other people in that Rosa call.
Oh no, the Rosa call had nothing to do with Peaches manipulating me. I was just a dickhead. And I own that. That's why I said that their actions are mine.
I don't think Kumo doesn't own his past. I think part of that is he was a kid. His girlfriend had like a fetish for that. And you know, he's owned up to it, and he's moved past it. So I don't understand why, again, we've got one mistake here from Kumo when I believe he was like a teenager still at that point. And we've got multiple mistakes of you being manipulated by multiple people.
And I just explained to you the difference. If you think Kumo's moving past it by continuing to make a joke out of it and continuing to find it humorous,
some people do make jokes. That's how they move on from things.
So you think him making jokes about self-harm is fine in this context?
I personally don't give a I'm not somebody who somebody who really cares about that stuff. The only reason I care is when there's like hypocrisy, right? If you're claiming to have like the moral high ground in comparison to everybody around you, and then your actions are showing that you don't have the moral high ground, that you're not trying to even be on the moral high ground, then that's where I have a problem. So like, for example, with the Rosa call, you apologized for being ableist, but that's about it. You didn't apologize for calling her a hole. You didn't apologize for calling her a whore. You didn't apologize for threatening to call her mom. You didn't apologize for, knowing beforehand that she had all of these conditions and still continuing to let people call her retarded and letting people, berate her for 4 hours.
I actually have.
I didn't break everything down into individuality, but I literally said that what happened in that call is my responsibility because I let people do it.
And then, but here's the thing. You demanded a specific apology from Rosa in that call. You said, oh, what are you sorry for, Rosa? Tell us exactly what you're sorry for. Why should I accept your apology for ableism, which is not even the beginning of what you did in that call? And when you have gone so far in Rosa in that call to demand a specific apology from her.
You don't have to.
Okay, so here's the thing. You don't look like you're sorry for any of that, for calling her a hole, for any of those things.
I literally listed that the actions in that call were horrific.
You said that they were horrific, and that,
so you
specifically apologized.
You think I should? I'm asking you directly. Go ahead.
You specifically apologized for the ableism. You said, yes, the call was horrible, and I'm sorry for, whatever the ableism. I did not hear you apologize for the sexism. I did not hear you apologize for calling her a whore, for threatening her and calling her parents, and knowing that she had all these issues going on and still letting other people treat her this way.
Here, let me pull up the script. Just give me a moment. Where'd I put that thing?
And I will remind you, Rosa said, I'm sorry for this situation, and you all were hounding her for a much more specific apology.
We were. One moment.
Also, I would say probably the Senate themselves deserves an apology for lying by omission, because you knew of Rosa's problems and you didn't disclose that to anybody.
Let me see here. I actually did admit in the script and in the video that I knew that Rosa was on the spectrum.
Okay, but did you apologize for calling her a slut hole? That's not what I'm asking, right? You admit to it. Do you feel sorry for it?
You ask if I gave. Well, of course I feel sorry for it. Why in the world wouldn't I?
You didn't say so. You hounded Rosa for a very specific apology, even though she was giving the best that she could at that time. You didn't apologize for calling her a hole. You didn't apologize for calling her a whore. You didn't apologize for calling her all mush mouth. Well, actually, no, you did apologize for that with the what's it, ableist thing.
Ableism?
But there's like telling her to remove herself from the census. Like, these are things that I think are deserving of an apology.
And that's probably fair. If you think that it should have been more broken down into specificity, I can 100% understand where your value would come from on there, and I probably should have thought about that during all of that. I just think that, given how much people were hounding her, especially, Endo was hounding her, right? And don't get me wrong, I have a little bit more sympathy for people who are under 18, but they were 17. And they were still complicit in a lot of Nekopon's actions. Who was complicit?
And Endo, the person who you all said was the victim. Yeah.
Yeah, Endo was groomed by Nekopon. I don't hold Endo responsible for any of that.
I looked at their video. I don't know if you've seen their video. They have not mentioned grooming at all in that video.
Endo's video?
Yeah, they mentioned being complicit in a lot of Nekopon's actions.
I think I'd have to go look at it because I wasn't even aware Endo made a video.
Yeah, Endo made a video.
Mendo's never once brought that up to me.
Yeah, the video does not have them talking about being groomed. It talks about they had a crush on somebody that Nekopon was having a weird relationship with that was probably inappropriate, but they themselves did not have a relationship with Nekopon in that manner. In fact, they were complicit.
Contrary to what I've been told.
They were complicit in a lot of the bad things that Nekopon did to other people. They admit as much in that video.
Can you shoot me a link to it, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Maybe I can shoot that to you after, because I don't want to distract from the questions too much. I guess
we're not going to go through the video.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get a link to it if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah. I had to search for it, honestly. Let me see.
Sure.
All right. How often do you personally investigate things yourself that people are claiming to you?
This type of stuff right now is something that we're still in the middle of. There's a lot of data to parse through, which is why it's taken so long to do much about it other than confronting a few people that were persons of interest here. So it's something we're still currently looking into. But this is something that I have been told repeatedly.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like a lot of hearsay. And one problem that I have with the art commentary community as a whole and slideshow commentary and just this general space is there are a lot of claims that are being made that aren't backed up with documentation. And that's not to say that you need documentation for every single claim. I think if there's a claim that is being verified by multiple like firsthand witnesses, I think that that's certainly enough for you to say definitively that something happened. But there's like a lot of things within this community I feel like need to be backed up with more evidence. But, you know, it seems like, especially with the Endo thing, you're saying that that's still ongoing. But Nekopon and Endo, that happened years ago. I don't understand how that's still ongoing, and you are relying upon hearsay with Endo.
It's ongoing because, again, we're still gathering data about it. There's tons of stuff that you don't, obviously not aware of. There's calls we're parsing through. There's DMs. There's exports of logs and server logs. There's a lot to this that is outside of the scope of what this video could even possibly go on to.
Okay. So then you are saying that you do have, like, concrete evidence then?
Yes. I can't really bring it out in the moment because I didn't know this is something we were going to be discussing right now. And those are somewhere in the archives of the old server, so it would take me some time to even find them.
Okay, fair enough. So back to the Rosa call, and the reason why I brought this up is because it's in relation to the Rosa call, right? And we'll kind of get into specifics about like what your methods are, I guess, later for like evidence collecting. But the Rosa call in particular, you mentioned you knew that Rosa was disabled, and you mentioned that she had a handler. I guess my question to you would be like that. You mean like a guardian or a custodian, right?
Yeah, I've been informed since then that that's apparently a derogatory term. I wasn't aware of that, so that I do apologize for.
Oh,
but yes, that
fine,
is what is meant by that they have a custodian.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, they have a guardian or custodian. So you know legally, like if somebody has a guardian or a custodian, that in a lot of states means that they can't own a gun, they can't gamble, they can't make major purchases, right?
Well, actually, no, because I've had other people that are friends of mine that have been on the spectrum, which is what I knew about Rosa. They've been on the spectrum and that they have seizures. Excuse me. And they have guardians over them and whatnot, and they're still able to make tons of decisions. They still have full cognition. They're able to make a lot of decisions. One example of that would be Misanthropony. His mother's in complete, guardianship over him, and he's still able to make his YouTube channel, still did some things that he was held accountable for, the whole 9 yards. What I'm discovering later on, because as I've stated in my video, the knowledge of the spectrum, mental health, all that isn't really my strong suit, which is why I've made a lot of changes to how I conduct any of these things, especially when somebody is on the spectrum, not related to predator hunting. I don't do that anymore. But for a while, my thought was if A fits, then B fits, which is part of my problem going into some of these things, not handling them a lot more delicately than I should have.
Sure. I would say that I don't know what Zaid or Misanthropony, I don't know what his situation is, but there are different levels of guardianship. There are different levels of the spectrum as well. And I don't know if Misanthropony like is legally has a custodian. It could be that he has a caretaker. A lot of people have that. He has a caretaker. Does that mean that he legally has a custodian? Is that it? Like,
yes, actually, he does.
Okay.
Is his mother?
So
is his mother?
Yeah. So then, if they're legally appointed guardians, then using him, the fact that he can make a YouTube channel is not really the greatest example of agency, right? Because if you have a guardian, right, that still means in a lot of states that you can't make major purchases, you can't gamble, you can't own a gun. And with
I was pointing out towards cognition as opposed to other things. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was pointing towards cognition. Sure,
that might be the case, but I think if somebody legally can't own a gun, can't gamble, and can't make major purchases, then that means that effectively in the law, they are like a minor, right?
I never thought about it from that perspective.
They have to, legal guardians have to co-sign checks. There's a whole bunch of things that people who have legal guardians, legal custodians can't do. So I think to hold them to a neurotypical standard is not right.
You're 100% correct on that. That's why I was in the wrong for the Rosa call.
Okay, well, here's the thing. You, in your video, while you do apologize at times for like the Rosa call, you still double down and say Rosa is a liar. Rosa doesn't take any accountability. Rosa doesn't apologize, right? Here's the thing. If someone who legally has no agency is saying that they can't apologize because of demons in their head telling them things, do you really think that they have enough agency to kick someone from a Discord server where the server owner didn't want that person kicked?
Well, in the case of that, obviously my position on that is different than it was then. My issue at this point comes down to if Rosa is able, or anybody in that position, specifically at Headspace, is able to identify that something's wrong and is able to identify they shouldn't be in a space with somebody, they should be able to remove themselves. Because I've seen people like Rosa do that. That's why I pointed out their back and forth with Agent Angie, to where Rosa was able to find Angie's parents and able to try a harassment campaign. This is where I'm struggling when it comes down to this, because if Rosa's capable of identifying and targeting somebody, I don't know why they couldn't remove themselves from the situation or get a hold of somebody else, because they clearly have no problem reaching out to other people to try to get them to cover other people as topics.
There were screenshots of Rosa reaching out to Star Giant, or Rebecca, whatever her name is, and asking Rebecca about this person. So it's there. It's not like Rosa didn't reach out. Rosa did reach out, and Star Giant said, well, you know, that's not really an issue right now, et cetera, et cetera. And you know that legally this person doesn't have agency. Legally, they are basically a minor, and they're going to be for the rest of their lives. I don't think it's fair to hold them to that standard. And, you know, the very fact that she's talking about voices in her head saying that they're going to hurt her family, like, this person is not mentally well. There's more responsibility on the server owner for even making that person a mod in the first place.
I agree with that 100%.
And so, you know, Rosa knowing how to be a crazy person harassing somebody online doesn't mean that she knows right from wrong. It doesn't mean that she is effective in her agency even.
I don't know if I can 100% agree with the not knowing right from wrong, because even if we're not talking from a moral aspect, there's obviously something in Rosa's mind that can delineate the difference between something she enjoys and something she doesn't. This is where I'm getting lost in this, because how can we sit here and say that Rosa can make all these cognitive, consistent decisions, but also say that, well, they're not capable of making the right decisions?
I don't think
That's
that
what
she
I
can
don't
make.
understand. That's why
I don't think she can make cognitive, you know, I don't think she can make consistent cognitive, you know, positions. I think that this is somebody who's very mentally unwell. I never would hold the standard for them. I don't think they should have been a moderator in that server in the first place. And I don't think just because you can tell the difference between when you enjoy something versus when you don't enjoy something, that means you're good at determining right versus wrong. Somebody might enjoy somebody. That doesn't mean that it's right, right?
Well, let me rephrase myself then. She knows enough to know that lying is wrong, which is why she was obsessed with Agent Angie, or Lovely Lena. That's why she tried to harass her. So she does know at least some basic understanding of right from wrong. She knows what a predator is. She knows what a child predator is. Gidget. Sorry. Gidget, get away from the bed.
I don't know that you have the knowledge of what she knows. I don't know that you have the ability to say that. If she is about as credible as a minor, there's no way for anybody to correctly evaluate that.
She literally said in her text that the reason why she's mad is because Lovely Lena's a liar.
Okay,
that's not me saying it. That's her saying it.
Yeah, that's fine. That doesn't mean that she is going to be consistent anywhere else, like in her thought process.
Consistent? No. My point is that she does at least have some basic understanding of right from wrong. That's what I was getting at.
Okay, but she's like literally, okay, I'm just gonna be blunt. You know, she's literally mentally retarded. Like, I don't know, like, that is not somebody that I'm looking to be responsible, especially when I look at Endo. Endo is clearly way more cognitively present and able to process things than Rosa is.
So is your argument ultimately, and correct me if I'm wrong here, do you think that Rosa has no culpability for anything, or that should just go to the parents?
I think that Rosa can be a crazy person who's an asshole who probably shouldn't be on the internet. But I think expecting her to understand exactly what she's doing wrong, you know, especially with this guilt by association thing, which I think that by itself is a very flimsy argument. I think I don't think that's a reasonable standard. Because the guilt by association that you're saying, like, oh, she had the ability to leave that server. Well, you have been friends or associated with people who were pretty problematic themselves, right? Before you knew they were.
Well, if it's before I knew they were, then that doesn't hold weight either.
I don't know if there's a
being
pattern.
Problematic in ways I don't know where of them.
Here's the thing: if there's a pattern of you being friendly with or being associated with people who end up being creepy or being weird, I think that there's an issue there. I don't think that any culpability from Rosa.
Or is that just an assumption? Okay, then that's your statement, and that's fine. There's this concept that happens within a lot of social circles, especially on the internet, called troll shielding. And when you're doing predator hunting, there's going to be creeps that are going to get into the inner circle because they think they're safe there. This is not something just I've dealt with, but multiple other people, even people who don't cover predation, just people who cover other people who do, or people who just talk about it, who will wind up in these servers and getting close to people to try to cover their own nonsense. That isn't something that is something I could magically see through, or you, or anybody else, until something actually comes to light. So unless you're able to magically scope out whether or not somebody's doing something behind the scenes, I don't think that's really reasonable.
Okay. Again, you are holding Rosa to a standard where she needs to disconnect from the server when she has brought the complaint to the server owner. She needs to leave that server because the server owner decided it wasn't a big deal or said that they were handling it. She already did her job. She communicated that to the server owner, and the server owner said, look, you don't need to worry about that right now. That's not an issue. Is she not supposed to trust the server owner? You guys were going in on her for trusting that server owner when all of you have been trusting people who are like far more crazy, far more problematic,
like
right?
Who?
Coyote Lovely is one, right?
Yeah. Did we know what Coyote was doing?
Did Rosa know any of Star Giant's history?
Yeah, that's why they became friends. Did you listen to the first Rosa call?
I don't remember much of it, but
it was on.
You did know. Wait. People are saying that you did know about Coyote Lovely, though.
They can say that all they want, but I did not know Coyote was sitting there having actual ooh-woo conversations with Sappho. I didn't know the other stunts he was playing behind the scene, which is why I was so doggone mad when I found out. They can say you knew all you want, but unless they actually have evidence that I did, I don't want to hear it from them.
Well, didn't you know that at the very least, people were... So Coyote Lovely was involved in this thing where he was associated with somebody else who was sending minors to known child predators for like 8 months. And you knew for 8 months that was happening.
Hold on. What? Can you run that by me again?
Yes, there's evidence that you knew for 8 months that Ziarkalo was putting children in danger, essentially.
No, I knew that Zerkalo asked an inappropriate question and tried to play pretend that they didn't know what the problem was, putting that out to an audience that had minors in it. That's what I knew about Zerkalo. The call we had with Zerkalo was to try to figure out what else may be legitimate. And it got sidetracked because Coyote kept running defense, and I are getting pissed because of all the stupid inside nonsense going on. That's not the same as knowing somebody's entire history. That's asinine.
How long did you know these people?
And it's also been talked about to death. Which one, Zerkalo or Coyote?
Both of them.
Didn't know Zerkalo at all. That's the one time I've talked to Zerkalo was in that call. Coyote I knew for a few years.
Okay, so for a few years, you knew Coyote. Coyote is now no longer somebody you're associated with. Why is that?
Correct. Because Coyote got caught doing horrific things behind the scenes.
And also was associated with Ziarkalo, right? Or Zerkalo, whatever you say his name. And
they were roommates at one point.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty sus. I don't know. Like, you can say... Like,
yeah, in retrospect, it absolutely is.
You put again, all I'm saying is you put all of these excuses for yourself saying you didn't know. Again, this person, Rosa, is somebody who can't own a gun, can't gamble, can't make major purchases. And you're thinking that she is going to cognitively put all of the lore of Star Giant in her head and know that she needs to disconnect from the server?
All of it? No. But my point is with Rosa, and I pointed this out before, it's not just going to Star Giant. Rosa's gone to plenty of other people about far more minor things. Rosa knows what a child predator is. Rosa knows all of that.
Does she know what a child predator is?
I'm putting...
Because it seems like a lot of you guys don't realize what a child predator is. You think that Endo was groomed by this person. I have not seen anything in their video where they talk about being groomed by this person.
Yeah, and like I told you, there's other things that are not made public right now. Sitting here saying I don't know what a child predator is because specifically Endo, I think is kind of far reached, honestly. Do you have any other examples of me not knowing what a child predator is?
No, I mean, we can get into that a bit. I do want to focus a little bit more on Rosa, and then we can get into specifically the predator hunting stuff. But you're saying that you are assuming that you understand Rosa's state of mind. I don't think you know her that well to know that.
But you do?
I mean, I think that I know it a little bit better than you do, knowing the information that's out there. That she has seizures as a result of stress.
Possibly.
Like, yeah, I mean, I don't know how anybody can sit in that call and listen to the way that she talks and know that she has brain damage and continue to let people go in on her like that. And then to threaten to call her parents for that.
Where did the claim of brain damage come from? Because I keep hearing that, and that was not something I recall
herself
ever being
has
told.
said that she has brain damage because of seizures. She has memory issues because of seizures.
So let me get this straight. On one hand, you say that Rosa is crazy, but on the other hand, you take what she says at face value.
When it comes to her illness, absolutely, because it's believable, because she's like you said, she's talking about demons in her head, telling her she can't apologize because her family's going to die. It's completely reasonable that she's crazy. Yeah, she's crazy. Of course she has mental issues. It's very clear. You listen to the way that she speaks, and I don't know how you can listen to the way that she speaks and not assume that she has some serious mental issues.
Okay. I just find it odd that you're sitting here saying I have a double standard, which that might very well be true. We can get into that later, but you're claiming that you know more about her mental status. You know whether she's lying or not.
I don't know if she's lying or not. I'm saying that it doesn't matter if she's lying or not because she's basically effectively a minor legally.
So it doesn't matter if she's lying, but it matters what she says?
No, I don't think. I think what matters is we know this surrounding information. You specifically knew this surrounding information that you did not disclose to the server, and you continue to let. You're
claiming I knew about the brain damage. I didn't.
Well, you knew enough. And she tried to tell you all multiple times that she does get seizures, and seizures are known to give people brain damage. It's not that hard.
Actually, no, I did not know that seizures give people brain damage because I didn't even find out till a few weeks ago that seizures can be triggered specifically by stress. I've had one incident dealing with somebody who had seizures and wasn't triggered by stress. Again, I didn't look into what these medical maladies can cause.
How quick is a Google search?
The one time I dealt with somebody who had a seizure, he had it in the middle of sleeping.
How quick is a Google search? How quick is a Google search for you?
I'd imagine it could be pretty quick, but why in the world would I think to look at that?
I think, okay, I don't know how anybody can enter a call with Rosa and not know immediately that she is not all there. You knew, not only did you have the context of some of her medical issues and that she had a custodian, you also knew that she thought that there were demons in her head or whatever. She was hearing voices.
That was later on. That was not something that we knew during the call. As I stated, that happened after the call.
Okay. You still knew she had a custodian, and legally she can't make major purchases. Legally she can't gamble. Legally she can't own a gun.
Well, I didn't know to that extent about what she could or could not do legally. I just knew that she had a caretaker.
So, yeah, and, her mentioning that she has seizures, it's a very quick Google search to find out what seizures can do to somebody. She said that she had memory issues because of the seizures. So, and I just don't know why you didn't disclose to people. Why didn't you stop Coyote Lovely from calling her retarded to her face when that was happening? Why didn't you're like the father figure of Peaches, why didn't you step in there and say, hey, we're getting a little bit out of hand?
I can't sit there and tell you where exactly my headspace was 100% at that point. The only thing I can tell you is it was unacceptable.
Okay. So look, my point at the end of the day is like, she's a vulnerable adult with a caretaker. She is effectively a minor legally. And you allowed that, and I think it's grossly inappropriate.
Unquestionably.
And you were, honestly, I think, Peaches had been talking about, I'm sorry, is my mic cutting out, blah, 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 and is it working? And then your response to her was like almost approvingly laughing and saying like, oh, it sure is, kid. Like, I don't know, like, it just seems incredibly inappropriate. And then there was like no apology for that stuff. So
there's no apology for that. Okay, then let me ask you directly then. What do you think a satisfactory apology for that would be?
I think you should hold yourself. Very obvious
you take issue with the one I made.
I think you should hold yourself to the standard that you held Rosa to in that call. Because you're certainly more capable of meeting that standard than she is.
Sure.
Okay, so when did
do you think it would be wise for me to put out? Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to ask, when did the Senate server become more focused on bullying people than like protecting kids or whatever it's meant for.
The server was never meant for predator hunting. That seems to be a misconception everybody has. Because I'm in there, people assume that it was made for predator hunting. It wasn't. It was never made for
Okay, what was it
predator
made
hunting.
for?
It was just a hangout server for the most part.
Okay. Okay, and this hangout server just turned into like a bullying server then?
Well, I guess it depends on what you mean by bullying. The Rosa call was obviously completely wrong. Not going to defend that one. There are times that people have come in and they've gotten really stupid and were turned into a joke, but I guess it depends on if that meets your criteria for bullying. So what is your criteria for what you define as bullying?
I think a call, like multiple calls where like people are dogging on one person for an extended period of time, I think that counts as bullying. I personally don't give a fuck about bullying, but I think, again, you are somebody who presents yourself as being on a higher moral ground than everybody else, so I think it's just hypocritical.
You keep saying that, but when have I ever said something like that?
You talk about how you were a predator hunter, you hunt, you do present yourself as somebody who, you know, you talk about it being a man of faith. You're talking about, you have presented yourself, whether you like it or not, as somebody who's on a higher moral ground. You've gone after people for similar things. You've gone after people for yes, you've gone after people for not being up to your standards morally.
You said similar things. Can you give me some examples?
I mean, I think if we just look at the Rosa call, like, I mean, I think that's plenty, right?
I told you right now that I 100% do not stand by the Rosa call, so I'm going to ask you again. You say that I have gone after people, which is not person, it is people, for similar things. Can you give me some examples?
Sure. There have been minors that you have doxxed, right? I think that constitutes as bullying. There's the kid who came in talking about how he was sexually harassed online and you called him like a goat fucker or something like that and threatened to notify the authorities of his sexuality. There is, and he lives in
hold on. What are you talking about there? A goat humper?
You called him like an animal fucker or something. It was this kid who was Arab. He lived in the Middle East.
That's not number one. That's not a kid. That's not a kid. That was somebody in their 20s that came in and making threats.
Okay,
you think that's bullying, responding to somebody who has threatened you?
I didn't hear threats in that call.
Of course you didn't, because you only have part of the call. You don't have the text.
Okay, what threats were they making?
Oh, I'd have to look at the logs, but essentially threatening to do physical harm to people. He actually, about a year ago, he said that in 40 days he would be at my house and he would kill me.
Okay. You've never made a similar, threat to somebody else? I feel like you have. Like you've done that to minors, not even full-grown adults. You've done that to minors. You threaten this guy like you're gonna out his sexuality to the authorities in his country when you know that that's like.
I told him that it was extreme. I told him it was extremely foolish to do what he's doing because of what he is and where he is. So again, I'm going to ask you, do you have any actual examples that you know full context for, or are you just going to take random things out of context without even full knowledge of them? You just got onto me for not doing research, but apparently you didn't do much of it yourself.
I think that the research that I've done is probably more than you've done in a lot of these scenarios. Like, no offense to you.
That's an assumption, not something you can state. Not something you can state factually. You don't know.
Okay. There are multiple examples out there of you in calls with multiple minors threatening to dox them, threatening to call their parents. That is not right. That's not okay.
Over what? Over what?
Over
what?
Drawing silly pictures and sending them to each other. Here's the thing, Lio, even if this kid, one of the kids, I think, is actually psycho, right? I'm not disagreeing with you that the kid's psycho. Even if they're psycho, it is not a justification of doxing them and calling their parents.
What is doxing?
It's a gross overstepping.
No, I asked you what doxing is.
Oh, doxing? Doxing is making public... I know what argument you're going to make here, okay? So doxing technically is the making public of private information. But I would say collecting somebody's information that is not accessible in one place and putting it in one place and using it to your advantage to call their parents or threaten to call their parents is still a threat, and it's still weaponizing doxed info.
That's not doxed info if it's public info. And secondly, when a child is going out of line, why is calling a parent somehow beyond the pale?
It's not your responsibility to do that. Ban that person and move on.
So it's not the responsibility of an adult to let a parent know when their child is going off the rail?
An internet stranger?
Would it matter if it was a stranger in public doing it?
If you're in person in public and this kid is like, punching you, that's a little bit different than somebody saying something mean on the internet.
So if a kid's sitting there screeching all sorts of threats in public, then a random stranger who hears these things shouldn't talk to the parent or try to get them?
I think that that's a bit different because you are you're actual public disturbance. That's a public disturbance. Somebody sending you messages or saying mean things on the yes, and you've got actually actionable things there that you can do. When it's a stranger on the internet,
but a public server isn't public.
No, it's not. No, not in the same way.
Then why is it called a public server?
It's not a shared public space like a grocery store. Or do you need to go to the public Discord server to function in your daily life? Because you do have to do that with a grocery store.
No. Well, now you don't. But more importantly, I think part of the disconnect here is that you seem to see a difference between what people do online and what happens in the regular meat space. And frankly, I think that's kind of foolish.
I think that you are making a huge mistake. You are breaking one of the internet's unwritten rules, one of the biggest unwritten rules, to not dox people when you're doing this thing. When you are threatening children for being stupid online and you're threatening to call their parents, or you do call their parents, or you call their school, I think that that is grossly inappropriate. I think you were very clearly overstepping. And if I were a parent, I would think it's weird that some stranger is calling me about my kid online.
And do you know what most of the parents that I had to contact have said when I've called them?
What?
That they appreciated it.
Okay. Do they just say that to you because you're a weirdo on the internet calling them? Or do they say, here's the thing. I don't give a what they say. They could say anything and that could still be weird.
Okay, you can think it's weird all you want, but I'd rather take the opinion of the people who care about these kids.
Why should I trust you? Why should I trust what you're even saying about this? Why should I trust it? Because you've been inconsistent on other things before, right? So why should I trust
you're human. You've been inconsistent as well because you're a human being. Should I not trust anything you say now too?
You are purposely on record guilty of being inconsistent on purpose.
Inconsistent on purpose. Something every human being has done, including you.
I think it's a little bit different when you're not trying to hide your true intentions.
I'm not hiding anything. And you're making a claim again that you don't have any evidence for.
I think it's invasive for you to be doxing minors on the internet and calling their parents.
I didn't dox them.
It's incredibly creepy.
That is not doxing.
Okay, fine. Let's not say doxing. I think let's say it's public information. It's still creepy to go and find somebody's information that's on Facebook, call their parents or call their school and threaten them with life ruination. It's creepy as a heck, I'm sorry. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is information that is not meant for you, that you are taking advantage of and you're using to either threaten them with life ruination or actually call their parents or school.
What do you mean information that is not for me?
It's not
what is that even supposed to mean in that context? What do you mean? What does that mean in that
context?
You do not
personally know this person.
Are not what?
You do not personally know this person.
Personally know me. So how much of your information? Yeah, and how much of my information or things I've done that you know about that weren't for you either? So why is it creepy in my aspect but not yours?
Because you police your community.
My information I get public.
You claim to be morally higher than everybody else in your community, and you take part in policing it. You take part in policing other content creators.
I do not claim to be morally
absolutely
higher.
do. You do. You do. You absolutely
Find me a citation. Find me a citation.
Okay.
You've done the research. Where's your citation on that?
How about this? How have you educated yourself on gathering information for child predator cases?
Depends on what you mean by educating myself. Do you want to get into that now?
Yeah.
Because you were talking about earlier how we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you asking about my process?
I am asking, how closely have you worked with a local police department or child safety organization to make sure what you are doing actually protects children and doesn't jeopardize any legal investigation?
I forward everything I have to the local PD, and anytime I ask them if I need to change anything I do or alter how I operate, they've said everything they have is fine.
Have you done any training through certain organizations like UNICEF or police departments? There are different trainings for people who actually hunt online predators, right? And report
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. Yes. So have you done any of those?
I actually didn't know that. That's information. Well, if I didn't know it, obviously I wouldn't have done them.
NCMEC is somebody who offers classes and seminars for child safety. It's the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. So you haven't done any classes in that. Yes. You haven't done any classes in that. UNICEF does classes. You haven't done any classes in that. Have you had any education, any formal education in how to properly report these things and not intervene in anything when it comes to legal investigations?
Intervene in what way? What do you mean?
Not jeopardize any potential legal cases.
It's why I stay in. That's why I stay in contact, and why I ask them, do I need to do anything differently? If I was doing something horrifically wrong, I'd imagine the cops would have told me by now. But if you want to know how we go about things, I can tell you that.
Okay, you can tell me, but I think I want to point out to the chat, you didn't even know that there was training in this specific subject area. You didn't know that there were classes in this specific subject area. So I think that's very indicative of your level of expertise and your qualifications in actually doing predator hunting.
Okay, well, it's not something I've done in over a year either, so that's fine.
No, but you have built a lot of your channel, like some of your biggest views are from the predator hunting, and that's
not.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
No, that's factually incorrect. What's my biggest video?
I don't know. I don't have your YouTube pulled up right now, but I guarantee. I think if you pull up your normal videos in comparison with your predator hunting videos or your videos where you're just yelling somebody and you're morally grandstanding. You're morally grandstanding. I mean, that's your specialty. If you pull up videos,
I don't know. I think you've got me beat on that one this night.
Like I said before this, I don't give a f about bullying. I only care about people being hypocritical.
Well, you're not doing a very good job at bullying if you think that's what you're doing right now.
Oh, I don't think I'm bullying. I think I'm just asking you questions. If you think it's bullying, then, I apologize, but I don't care.
No. Well, why would you? Hold on. What do you mean you apologize, but you don't care? Why would you apologize if you didn't care?
I apologize that you feel that way. So here's the thing.
So you're apologizing for my feelings. Interesting.
Yes. Are you aware that your involvement, minimal or maximal, can affect future cases when it comes to child predation?
It depends on what that would be. Hold on, I'm trying to find.
So specifically, outing and speaking to predators can jeopardize legal cases, future legal cases.
I'm sure it can, depending on how you go about it, which is again why I ask for input.
It jeopardizes
from the individuals I report to.
Okay, if there's no specific agency, like legal agency or law enforcement agency, that is getting involved with you while you're doing this, then you are most likely jeopardizing any future cases related to that.
Okay, that's a good thing I don't do that. All right, so since you didn't do your research, I will inform you. My most viewed video, the top one, was Spocker, who is not a predator to my knowledge and never claimed he was. I just pointed out the fact that he owns CSEM and he treats people like garbage. The next one under that was about just a robot and people falsely accusing him of being one by making quote-unquote evidence. Underneath that is Smash Bandicoot, who does not he preys on children in the sense that he sent them and he harasses them, but not that he tries to molest them. And underneath that's a cartoon intro and then Coyote.
Okay.
So you're wrong.
You did call.
Which is my point. You claimed it was about predation.
If you look at some of your most viewed videos, I would still argue that your normal videos in comparison to your predator videos are, your predator videos are going to get way more views.
Where are my predator videos? Do you know what they are? I
mean, the crash whatever thing is predator related.
So predator adjacent, but not predator.
The video on Spocker is specifically done for revenge for Peaches, right?
It is not done as revenge for anything. What are you talking about?
Alleging somebody has CSAM is accusing somebody of.
It's not alleged. It's not alleged. He admitted it in a call.
Okay, so then you're calling him a predator. You're calling him a predator. You're calling him a predator.
I am not calling him a predator. No, I did not. Did no such thing.
Owning CSAM is predatory behavior.
It is predatory behavior, but that does not inherently make him a predator. If you
okay, so then it's still
video, if you actually did your research, you wouldn't be making that claim. This is
pedantics. Why?
It is not semantics.
It is. Okay, it's literally these are all predator related. It still makes my point. You actually made my point for me. All the videos.
Make your point. You made a very specific claim.
You
now you are trying to move the goalpost.
No, I'm not moving the goalpost. Your biggest videos are still predator related. They are alleging somebody has CSAM.
They are not about predators.
All right, whatever makes you feel better. Okay. So do you want to tell me how you go about gathering evidence?
Well, depending on the case, what tends to happen is if somebody has an issue with a predator, they will come to me. They will tell me what's been going on. And at that point, depending on how things go, we might need to see screenshots. We might have to have calls, edited or otherwise, because obviously if they're sharing material, we don't want to see that. We inform them to contact their local PD, and we go from there.
Okay.
We walk the person through how to gather that information.
Do you coordinate with their local PD when you do these operations?
Actually, the police here have told me that when I file reports, instead of going to their local PD, I should just file with them and have the victim file with their local PD. That's what they've informed me.
Okay, so then do you work with your local PD while you're gathering evidence or doing confronting people?
No, I usually pass the information on to them once it's all been gathered together. The confronting thing doesn't happen as often as you'd probably think. It's very rare, especially nowadays, not even like the past year that I haven't been doing this, but even before then, confronting them was extremely rare. There's a lot of cases I've worked on that haven't even seen the light of day because of various different reasons. Right now, my method is go to the police.
Did the police
There's somebody
ever
I'm in communication with right now. Sorry, go ahead.
Did the police ever ask you explicitly to help them with their investigations?
No.
And has your local PD apprehended anybody as a result of your investigations?
Well, considering they're usually in other states, my local PD wouldn't be doing that. The way they explain to me this works is that they look into it themselves, and if they think there's enough data or enough legitimate information, they will pass it on to the local PD of the individual who is the perpetrator. And we had an incident with that, which I'm sure you're familiar with by now, with the Vita case. Jordyn got together with their local PD. Their local PD got a 16-page document about everything Vita did. They passed it on to the North Carolina PD, and the North Carolina PD decided, well, we're not going to do anything about it because we don't even know if he has that phone anymore.
Could it not be because you did not involve law enforcement or any agencies actively when gathering that evidence?
They said nothing of the source.
I mean,
a reason for why they didn't do it.
Vita, okay, so first off, Vita was arrested. I believe one of the charges was for assaulting a police officer. It had nothing to do with internet crimes, anything like that.
Yep.
Secondly...
Well, one thing had to do with internet crime. One thing did. That would be computer theft. I didn't see a single listing. Yeah.
Okay, computer theft is very different.
I think you need to go look.
Computer theft is very different than possession or exploiting a child online.
I'm not saying that's what he got reported for. I'm not saying that's why he got put in jail. I'm literally telling you that...
You've implied it. You've implied
I have not
because
implied
of your...
that.
Yes, you have. You've implied it.
Oh, you're talking about in reference to the police officer being assaulted. No, that is my fault. Because what happened there was Vita had a bout where he was trying to mess with Jordyn, saying that he was going to kill himself and he was going to down pills. Jordyn freaked out and begged me to call a... What's it called? Shoot. It's where you tell a police officer something's going on and they double check on that person to see if they're safe. What is that called?
Welfare check?
Escapes my mind right now. Thank you. Welfare check. The police officer showed up. Vita tried to lie. The police officer took him into custody, took him to the ward, and when Vita was at the ward, he freaked out, panicked, assaulted a nurse, his mother, and a police officer. That's one of the things on his record.
So
that is my...
Okay. So when you say that somebody was arrested for computer crimes, you are making it shadowy on purpose to make them seem more predatory, or at least the reason for their arrest to seem more predatory.
You haven't even heard why that is. You don't even know what the computer crimes are in relation to. You're making claims about my intent while knowing dick all about the situation. Did you call his local police officer? You said that it was
theft. You said that it was theft.
Yes, it's computer theft. That is what is listed. Do you know what it's in relation to? Do you know what it's in relation to?
Why don't you elaborate? Tell me how it's related to him being a predator.
It's not. And I never claimed it was. Where are you getting this lunacy?
You being very vague when you claim that Vita was arrested for computer claims is implying that.
No, I'm saying it's on the document. If you actually did your research and you looked up anything concerning Vita, that is what it's listed as. Computer theft. It is nothing in relation to predation.
Computer theft is not even like, it's not even a computer crime though. Computer theft is a theft crime. It's not a computer. It's not like an internet.
You don't even know what it's in relation to. You never called the courthouse. You don't know what he got arrested for. You don't know. You're claiming I'm being vague, but I'm not.
Yes, you are being vague. You are being vague on purpose. Also,
did you call? No,
why do I need to call? I'm not the predator hunter here. You are. And you're saying that you don't.
About me being vague when I'm not.
You are. You are saying that you are saying.
No, I'm not. I'm being very direct.
Okay, I have done my research. There is no need to speak to me in this way or invalidate my work. Okay, I am not.
I haven't done your research. No.
Okay, well, I am not disrespecting you. At least I'm not intentionally trying to. So I would, you know, it would be nice to at least have that in return. Okay.
That's fair. I apologize.
So I think you claiming that Vita was arrested for computer crimes is not very honest, to be honest. I think that you are implying that he was arrested for crimes committed on a computer, not theft of a computer.
That's literally what is written on the record. Did you look at the record?
I looked at the record.
And this is why I asked if you.
But you said computer crimes.
Because I
did. Said computer crimes. That's not specific at all.
Do you know what's in?
And that was only one of the things.
In relation to?
Theft is only one of the things on that list. One of the reasons why, you know, he got into so much trouble was assaulting a police officer.
Do you know what the term, and I keep asking you this and you keep avoiding it, so I'm going to try it one more time. Do you know what the computer theft charge is in relation to?
Computer, like, sure, what is it in relation to? Computer theft is on the record, by the way, not computer crimes. If you had called the courthouse and done actual research that doesn't just require typing something in, and I'm not saying that to be derogatory, I'm saying this because this is good information for everyone. But that's okay.
Called the courthouse, and no, I'm being serious. If you had called the courthouse, I'd appreciate if you don't assume my attention. If you had called the courthouse and listed off that charge number, what they would have told you is what he got arrested for was for accessing information via his computer that he did not have authorization for. What that is in reference to is the Sequestria Fest information that he tried to spread around, because he got reported to the police for that, and that's what they arrested him for. It was not physically stealing a computer. It was getting a hold of documentation online that he did not have clearance to get.
Okay, so you can call a courthouse and they will give you all of that information.
Yeah. Call them with the statute, or not statute. Call them with the case number. Okay,
so he stole documents. That's not what the report states.
All right, then tell me what the report states then.
I believe the report specifically, says computer theft, right? You are implying computer crimes, which implies sex crimes.
That does not imply sex crimes.
If you're calling this guy a groomer,
computer crimes can be a myriad of things.
If you're calling him a groomer, and then you say that he was arrested for computer crimes, you are implying that he was arrested for sex-related crimes.
I think that you're making an implication there that is not my intent. My point is that he is a groomer and that he got arrested for this. I'm making a clarifying statement.
I think anybody else who are listening to you talk about Vita being a groomer, and then you bring up computer crimes, not computer theft, not document theft, not assaulting a police officer. You don't say any of those other things that are way more specific. You just say computer crimes. Anybody else in my position would also think that you were implying sex crimes.
Okay, that's argumentum ad populum.
Okay.
That's why you ask qualifying statements, or clarifying statements, rather.
Or you know, I don't...
I'm telling people what he got arrested for.
Sure. But again, you did not present it that way. It was deceptively presented.
No, because deception requires intent. I've been very clear that I did not have anything to do with Vita being arrested for sexual crimes. That's why I'm so doggone frustrated that the PD was handed a 16-page dossier from another department and did nothing with it.
Okay. It seems like you're getting upset, so I'll back off a little bit. I feel like, look, here's the thing.
No, it's fine.
You should clarify if you're making an accusation like that. I think it's very easy for anybody who's listening to that, knowing the average IQ of the online audience, sorry guys, that they are not, look, I'm just saying, you have to be, you have to be specific in that. If you're calling somebody a groomer and saying that you're helping with, unveiling them as a groomer or whatever, or helping their victim of grooming, and then you say that they were arrested for computer crimes, you might have said later that, oh, it wasn't sex crimes, but still in that moment, that is implying sex crimes.
This specific moment you're referring to, where was that?
I would have to go. Do you remember? Back in, no, I don't know specific videos. I've been through so many videos these past few days. Yeah.
Because I don't remember if it was mentioned in a specific video, but if it was mentioned in like a Senate call or something, most of the people in there knew more of the specifics there. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I don't sometimes struggle with communication. I found out recently I may very well be on the spectrum, so that explains quite a few things. So, no, I think that's a fair criticism to make, that being more specific about things wouldn't hurt. 100% fair criticism to make.
I think people are saying it's a lag over a call. It was in Lagos.
A lag over a call. Oh, well, I'd have to go back and listen to that. It's been like a year.
Okay. So, do you think that, let me see here, my other questions that I've written out.
Sure.
Do you think that, what does being on the, you just mentioned that you might have autism. I guess, like, what does autism explain, I guess? You said that, you said that you have communication problems or something like that?
Yeah, it explains sometimes how I struggle with communication, sometimes how I process my own emotions. It also may explain why if somebody gives me information that doesn't, like, fit, that it becomes extremely frustrating for me. And sometimes, of course, social faux pas. So there's other, like, more inherent things that I'd have to remember as I go about my daily life that might explain it a little bit more. But I'm waiting for an official diagnosis. Still waiting to hear back about that, but every other thing I've done kind of points me in that direction.
Okay. I would just say that, I think if we can make excuses for, again, you being on the spectrum, then I don't see why we couldn't have made excuses for Rosa, right?
I've said multiple times that what happened in that call is abhorrent. I'm not sitting here saying that it's an excuse. I own what I've done and I've owned what I've said. If you think otherwise, then I don't think you're paying attention.
I feel like you fought very hard on that. Okay, so do you realize that at least now with your possible diagnosis of autism or being on the spectrum, do you recognize doxing or hunting for information to be kind of like faux pas now?
I guess it depends on the situation.
I think it's. I just think
there have been times I've been.
Sorry, go ahead.
Here's part of the problem I have here, and one reason why I think people are always so scared of people finding out their information, especially in the spaces I deal with, is because a lot of these people say and do abhorrent things that I don't want it tied back to them in reality. So I'm going to say this very clearly. If you guys, and I mean you as a whole, not you as in you, if you guys don't think that sooner or later somebody's going to cyber bully a politician and your anonymity will be gone the next day, you're kidding yourselves.
No, I mean, yeah, that's absolutely, but it depends also on the level of cyberbullying, right? There's a difference between threatening like an official, right? In a very threatening them with violence versus somebody saying something crazy online, right? And I would say if it's just a normal person, unfortunately, like I've been threatened plenty of times online. There's not a whole lot that you can do, and I would never think of doxing somebody.
I think if somebody threatened you online and you find their personal information, you have every right to report them to the authorities for it. That's illegal and that's against the law.
But that's a little bit different than making their information, more public than it already was, right?
If that's what I was doing, you might have an argument there.
I think calling their parents and, making it available to like when you're in calls with people, I think that's overstepping.
Do I rattle off the phone number? Do I rattle off the phone number? Do I rattle off the name? Do I rattle off the address? Because I don't think
you have asked some pretty invasive questions, and
unquestionably.
And you've definitely mentioned like personal details in calls. So,
like what? But if you'll notice, you're saying you think I've done why?
I mean, the calls are out there, right? They're censored now because they're censored, but in that call they weren't.
Which one?
Any of the ones with like you calling parents that.
Any of them. That's interesting. Why don't you go take a look at the Dr. Trimmer call that's on Seraphina's channel sometime? Hello, Gigi. Hello.
I mean, like, look, you've already threatened to reveal personal information about Kumo. You've threatened to reveal personal information about Gilded.
I don't think you know what that word means in this case. When did I threaten to reveal anything?
In your response video?
Nope, never threatened to reveal anything.
I don't know. I think everybody else.
What is the word revealed? Argumentum ad populum. Again, you can sit there and say everyone else all day long, especially if it's your audience. That does not mean that doesn't mean it's the intent. That's not what I said. Did I say I am going to tell people who you are? I'm going to tell people where you live. Did I say anything of that sort? Because the answer to that is no. Okay, you threatened to call the police, right? I did, because they're doing illegal actions. Should I not inform police when people are doing illegal actions? Because here in Texas specifically, it's a felony for me not to point that. What illegal actions are they doing? You don't think threatening to rape somebody is illegal? Did Gilded threaten to rape somebody? I'm talking about Kumo specifically, because that's what that was in relation to. If you paid attention, you would have noticed. I don't think threatening to rape people, unfortunately, is illegal, because I've been threatened to be raped plenty of times on the internet. Okay, did you report it to the police? Because that's wrong, and that's not okay. Then I think you need to, because that is absolutely illegal. How? How is it illegal? What do you mean? Like, what law? You think that it's completely illegal to threaten to rape somebody? I think people threaten each other on the internet. I think you need to look. I think you need to look up what the definition of assault is. Battery is the physical action. Assault's the threat. Somebody saying that they're gonna, especially if it's like a joke, like I don't know. I don't think that's. I don't think that is violating anything. If it's something between friends. If there's something between friends, you might have an argument there, but that's not what that was. Let's not move the goalpost here.
Do you believe in free speech?
Why I would call the authorities.
Do you believe in free speech?
I believe define free speech.
Well, I think one of the
because if you're going down that road, then you have no right to get on to me for contacting anybody's parents. You're going to lose that real quick.
No, I think contacting parents is very different from free speech. How is that related at all?
Hey, it's free speech. I'm talking however I want to whomever I want. That's freedom of association as well.
But you're being super invasive. I'm not claiming that legally that...
Oh, is free speech now somehow limited by invasiveness? Do you believe in free speech? And if you do, what is your definition of it?
I believe in free speech with like some very, very fringe limits, but threatening to rape somebody online is like, that's part of being on the internet.
So that's acceptable to you?
It's not acceptable. It sucks, but it is what it is. So.
Oh, okay. So as long as it's within the status quo, we shouldn't concern ourselves with it, yes?
I mean, look, there's laws that protect free speech. I don't know what law you were saying that they are violating for, jokingly threatening to rape somebody.
What law protects you from making a threat of rape?
Section 230 protects free speech.
Section 230 of which specific one? Because there's a lot of different states and a lot of different laws. Which one is it? What statute is it?
I'll pull it up for you. Okay, so Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act of 1996. It's considered the strongest protection for free speech online. It protects websites, social media platforms, and other sites from legal liability for most user-generated content. This protection has allowed online expression to flourish, dissuading companies from censoring speech.
That has to do with protecting companies from liability. That has nothing at all to do with whether or not it's acceptable to threaten to rape somebody.
But it is a protection that allows for people
to express.
No, but it also allows for people to express. It allows individuals to express themselves the way that they do.
That's a very specific. That is a very specific thing in reference to whether or not these websites or blogs or whatever can be held legally viable or accountable for what the people on it say. It does not, in fact, state that it makes everything on there legally viable in order to say it, because there's plenty of people on Twitter or elsewhere that have been arrested for it.
You've mentioned, people on Twitter who are arrested are usually in China. But
no, that is not true.
The people with blogs are still user run. It's so like a Tumblr blog, for example. That is still a blog, and that is user-generated content still. It protects that user as well.
No, it does not protect that user from legal culpability. I'm sorry, but you're wrong flatly.
It does. Look, there is no law that I can think of that criminalizes free speech.
That's not free speech.
I can get a lawyer in
slander,
here to
defamation. Those aren't covered.
That's not slander defamation. That's not slander defamation. There's not.
I said threats. I said threats, slander, and stuff like that. That is not covered under free speech. It's why I can't sit there online and talk about how I'm going to rape the president. I would absolutely have Homeland Security knocking on my doggone door, and you know better.
Yeah, well, raping the president is a little bit different. I'm sorry, raping the president is a little bit different.
Still free speech. What if I say it's a joke?
Average user.
What if I say it's a joke? Doesn't matter. It's still illegal.
I mean, you've done it before.
That's what you're trying. You're very hard to miss. You're trying very hard to miss.
I have a lawyer I can bring in. Can I add a lawyer to this call? because they want to explain the free speech law to you.
What state is he a lawyer in? What is he a lawyer in?
You can ask her. It's a her, by the way. Here,
sure.
let me.
Oh, my apologies.
Let me put you guys in a call together. Hello?
Oh my goodness, your name is Barbie. That's amazing.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Robot.
I'm not a robot. I'm just a woman.
No, I'm saying you're robotic.
Am I still roboting now?
I don't think so now.
No, not now. Thank you.
Right. So, Lio, you are incredibly incorrect when it comes to the protections afforded by Section 230 to both free speech and as well as other threats made in person, until or unless someone is making a time, manner, and place-specific threat. Meaning, I am going to go take down Lammy Lamb at 3 o'clock on March 34th at 4 p.m. There is nothing any police, federal or otherwise, can do except for collect that information on the off chance you want to try to get a protective order. But it must be specific to the person, maybe the manner, maybe the place, have related information. There have been cases in which tweeting out pictures of a house and saying this will look pretty on fire have counted, but the protections, especially under Section 230, as it has not been reformed, are incredibly high for that type of free speech. So yes, you are absolutely allowed to make those threats. It is also incredibly inappropriate for you to think or try to state, oh, so these things are all right to you as opposed to legal. You know that those are two different standards.
I asked her a direct question. I'm sorry if that upsets you, but here's the problem with you trying to make that defense. Kumo made it very clear when and who they planned on doing it to. And how, actually. If you listen to it, did you listen to what we're referring to
I sure do. I've listened to all these things. There's no need for you to try and fact check or invalidate what it is that I'm trying to state. Once again, of course.
Well, it's too bad you're being inconsistent then.
Other than reporting that and getting that video flagged or taken down, there is no appropriate measure for you to try to find that information and then go out and do something with it. And you know what you're doing when you imply these things. You know what you're doing when you imply these things.
Nope. Don't play that game with me. I know exactly what I said. I never implied I'd do anything other than file a police report. You're sitting here saying you heard it, then maybe get your ears checked.
I don't need to get my ears checked, Lio. I think you're just used to speaking to people between 18 to 22 and then usually kowtowing to you, and that's not going to happen right now.
I have dealt with...
You don't have a good grasp of the law, and you don't have a good grasp of anything else going on. No one is playing any games with you.
Why are you being incredibly inconsistent? You're clearly playing some game because you literally listed the things that would qualify for that to be reported that were in that call, and now you're trying to backtrack. If you are a lawyer, which I don't know, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and say that you are.
That's fine. You can call me a paralegal. None of your business. I don't care for you to be trying to dox me either. But if you want to try,
I wouldn't want to dox you. Why would I want to dox you? Why would
Why would you want to dox me? Because I think you're unhinged and don't have great touch with reality.
Yeah, you're doxing children. It doesn't really bode well for your,
Yeah, but again,
you've already admitted you don't know what doxing means.
Right. No, well, you know what? If you ever find work, I hope you speak to my boss. I'm married to him. He loves me a lot, but I'm certain he would love to take any complaints from you.
Why in the world would I contact you or contact your law firm just because I think that you're woefully dishonest in this and you can't even be consistent in what you're saying? That's extremely weird.
I do have a question. There is actually a legal, I feel like there's an actual legal violation, I think, that could be argued here, right? You have said multiple times that you would report several people to the police, even though you know it wouldn't go anywhere. Is that, that's like wasting police time and resources for a report that
the police have always told me it's better to have something on file than nothing. And yes, I've also
in your jobs of child predation hunting, you've never encountered the National Center for Missing or Exploited Kids ever?
I have asked law enforcement if it's better to contact them or contact that facility, and they said it's always better to contact them.
You were not aware of that facility at all prior to this conversation, though.
I was not aware of their classes.
But again, they openly have forms for reporting. Have you utilized those forms? Because as you know, if it's not harassment, and unless I don't want to know your state, so please don't share your state. Unless it's all within your state, there is very little local PD can... Wait, I'm not talking about your state or doxing it. I disavow that if that is happening. I don't care to know those things, to be very clear. But whenever you're talking about this in particular, especially with crossing state lines, it must always be reported federally. That is why usually the federal crimes and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Kids work so closely together, because that is the only way with which to catch these child predator rings. So have you ever done that?
Rings? Well, hold on. Now you pivoted talking about child predator rings. When did I ever deal with a child predator ring?
So
see, this is one thing I have noticed throughout the entire. Hold on.
Typically, if you read any of the, sure.
One thing I have noticed through all this is anytime I pin Stardust here on anything, they pivot, or they goalpost move, or in your case, bringing you in. Even though I made it very clear that. Hold on, I'm not done. I'm not done. You've pivoted several times. You can go back and re-listen to this. You say you're good at research. Let's do that. Anytime I've called the police and I've asked them about whether or not it is better to report to them or to the Center for Missing and Exploited Children, I always say it's better to report to them.
Yes,
if it is
because the Center for Missing and Exploited Children works specifically with the FBI, which does every interstate problem. You know this. I know that you know this. So when it comes to these specific crimes, though, but they don't, though.
Oh,
they
so
don't do that.
Just sit there and do nothing with it.
Yes, they are under no obligation. They are under no obligation to escalate or do anything like that.
They're not under obligation to do anything per the Supreme Court rule in 2005.
I understand that. I understand that. And this is a different standard from the life-saving standard of that case in 2005 that you're talking about. I know which one you're speaking of. But in terms of escalating this with a police report, they're obligated to take your report. Absolutely. It can go into the round receptacle in the trash can after that. They are not obligated to do anything, which is why I'm asking, since you work so hard and since you say that you work so hard doing these, excuse me?
Why aren't they obligated to do it?
Because it's beyond their jurisdiction and they are only paid by the people within their jurisdiction. There's no obligation for them to try to escalate those things online. No.
So they have no obligation to report it to their superiors, which is the federal government. You're kidding me.
No, they don't. And federal government isn't their superiors, especially if it's a state police. What are you talking about? You also know this.
Then who's their superior then? Why are they not obligated to report things to the
feds? The governor usually. I mean, the governor. Are you really? Like in a state? I'm confused. Are you kidding me, or are you being serious right now?
I am asking you why they would not forward something that is the feds to the feds.
Because again, they're not the federal office. So yes, you make that report and that's great, but they have no obligation to advance it anywhere else. And the federal government system is entirely different from local and state systems, right? That's why whenever they have to work together on cases or on serial murders who cross state lines or other things like that, it is usually the federal office, like the FBI office or branch in charge of all of that may coordinate with the other police departments, but it is almost always the FBI who is in charge of that. And because it is a different system, there's really first off, you also know this, those agencies are notoriously difficult in terms of sharing information and speaking to one another, but there's just no way to assume that they would ever turn any of those things in. Of course they wouldn't.
And neither would the feds. They're not obligated to either.
Well, yeah, nobody's obligated to do anything, but you can go online onto FBI.gov and it'll say, do you have a problem with, especially with online predation? I mean, with any place to file a report, and you can put in all of this information and hopefully it'll escalate, but at least then you've documented it in the correct place. Unfortunately, especially if none of these predations are taking place in your local jurisdiction. Let's say that you live in, I'm going to make up Allenville, Tuscaloosa, whatever. Then the only cases that would actually happen would be the ones in Allenville. None of the other ones are if you're talking about a case in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, or in Rhode Island, none of that matters to them. They're not even under an obligation to send that case along to Rhode Island PD.
So your argument is that not only would the police sit there and actively tell me to do something that they know will likely go nowhere,
no,
but also
that's
that
not what
they
I
are
stated.
discouraging me. Well, I'm not done. But they're also discouraging me from taking it to the people who should do something about it, because they flat out told me multiple times that I should report it to them not the website.
Right. So again, as I said, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children partners up with the FBI, but they are not a governmental agency or governmental arm. Again, of course, between those two options, reporting it to your local PD is always the best option. I don't know why they didn't tell you to file it with the FBI, but I'm not certain. Again, filing it with the FBI is very much the same way that you would probably do it with the online forms on NCMEC, and would be much easier to do that. Yes. But no, I'm not saying that they are lying to you or alleging those things. I don't know what your local PD office knows. We have no standards of training or regulation to ensure that they have any of this knowledge.
Okay. Anything else?
On the topic of, I know that this is a little bit beyond it, but you guys brought up like pedo rings. I do believe that you called a the glitch tail server a pedo ring, did you not?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't have anything to do with that. I didn't have anything to do with that investigation.
Okay.
The only thing I had to do with it, matter of fact, let me put the caveat. The only thing I had to do was getting Artie and Veer in a call. That's essentially it. That and making the report myself. And that was before we found out the sheer amount of people that were there. The report I made was over a year ago. In fact, it was in...
Why do you keep calling these investigations if you just admitted you don't run them like investigations?
Because that's the word that people tend to use. So I'm using a word they're familiar with.
I mean, you could say Scooby-Doo investigation, and that would be a little bit more apropos, but you just stated that you haven't done any training. I don't know what you just said. I was just speaking, but you haven't done anything else that's either educated yourself or made you more aware of the proper and appropriate way to do this. Like, this is something I work as a sexual survivor, assault advocate. There are specific trainings that are offered to both protect people online, what to do with reports online, that are all available for free. You know, I'm certain that if you did a Google search right now and it said how to figure out if my kids are being groomed or talking to a predator, there are 89 guides that would make you a subject matter expert to do this. But if you haven't done that, and yet, as you've just stated, people will come to you and report these things to you because there is either a reliance in your community on you being an expert, or you have held yourself out as being the only one adult enough to find ways to do things. I think that we can both agree, right? Like, if you're going to be involved in this, should you not, if you're going to be swimming in this pool, shouldn't you learn how to, like, dog stroke at least?
Why don't you explain to me what you consider to be an investigation then? What does that retail in your mind?
So first off, I don't think that I would call anything I did an investigation with this. I would say someone came to me and made a report or tried to talk to me. First, I want to make sure that they're mentally and physically okay, and that they feel safe wherever they are, and make sure that they are currently safe. And
which
then
is contradictory.
Talk about,
by the way, it's contradictory directly to what Lio does, because he has had Jordyn directly confront one of their predators. So
what? Why? Why would you do that?
Why? Because it wasn't somebody that was sitting there sending them. It was somebody who was talking and orbiting around them, and it was also something Jordyn demanded.
One of the great things about being.
Sorry, it doesn't matter if they demand it. If you're putting the welfare of the victim first. It doesn't matter if they demand it. They don't. That is not healthy for them. That is not protecting them.
Like, Lio, okay, I'm really trying to build a bridge right now. Can you imagine if a survivor of sexual assault came to me, let's say it was a professor, and they said, I want to go throw bottles of pee at his house. And I said, great, let's mount up and let's drive there. All I'm doing is aiding them in the committing of a crime. And that's not supporting them or giving them autonomy or making them know what to do better. That's not helping them really, or providing closure, right? Like, that's probably endangering them more, because if that predator or their attacker gets angry, we have no idea how violent they may become, right?
How is them being in a Discord call a failure of them not being in danger?
They were
How
17.
Is that them being in danger?
Because if you tell a predator, I'm coming for you online, what does it do? It tells them that they need to delete everything and cover their tracks better. You've just taught them to become a better predator.
It was already cataloged.
Okay.
You're sitting here saying it teaches them to be... Hold on. You're saying that it teaches them to be a better predator, but more often than not, no, it doesn't. Because it's a fun thing about predators.
You don't know that. In the same way you don't know whether Rosa Rey Ramsey was actually able to grasp and understand child endangerment when she said she was bothered most by lying. Yes, most toddlers are bothered most when they figure out somebody lies to them because they can't conceptualize what you mean when you say child predator. That right there should have been a signifier of, this person may not be speaking the same way that I am. But in this case as well, there's no way for you to verify what they do or do not know. I think maybe a problem is that you give people too much of the benefit of a doubt. But this is the only thing you are really doing is you continue to jeopardize any attempts to both hold yourself out as a good resource for possible victims and for anybody who would care to try and file an actual report.
All right, then what I want you to do, if you don't mind, walk me through, because you say you've been through these classes, right?
For sexual assault survivors, yes.
Yeah, walk me through what the process would be then for reporting these people.
Okay, that'll be super easy. 1 second.
Sure, go for it.
I'm going to the RAIN site. If you suspect a child is being harmed, where to report? Go to the RAIN state law database, call or text the Child Help National Abuse Hotline, or online.rain.org. I can give you the hotline number as well. Officials. How to detect a child predator online. This is from a Moby, a parenting blog from February 13th of 2024. This is all from the Child Crime Prevention and Safety Center. And while there are online dangers and how people groom them, these are all from ChildNet and protecting their kids from online things. Parents then can then use, this is even an app in which you can monitor their activity and then it'll file reports specifically with the FBI. This is the Attorney General's office reporting a possible sexual cybercrime as well. How to make a report at the FBI.
I do have a question. I'm sorry if I'm interrupting. Am I interrupting anything right now, or
a little bit? But go ahead.
You know what? I'll let Barb finish, and then I'll ask my question.
Sure.
No, I mean, again, I'm not trying to be rude, but so I'm on FBI.gov, parents and caretakers protecting your kids, how to report any of these things. So you call a local FBI field office because every city has one, or you call the cyber tip line. That's it.
So pointing them to authority.
What? An appeal to authority?
No, I'm saying so pointing them to authority.
Yeah, you can literally give them these links and it'll teach you like what to do.
Well,
but
in fact, excuse me. All right, then let me ask you some more questions after Stardust is done, because I think that she wanted to interject if you're done.
Yeah, just related on this topic, people, is it true? I guess I have to ask you a question. Is it true that you wanted Jordyn to record their essay with their mom's boyfriend?
And I have talked about this so many doggone times, but I will run it through just for you. And I don't mean that derogatorily. The situation we had there was Jordyn had this person lay hands on them, no penetration, nothing like that. And Jordyn reported it to their school counselor, which, as you know, is a mandated reporter. So it got reported to the police. The police said they couldn't do anything. Jordyn's
that doesn't
mother
make sense.
Knew this person had done. I'm not done. Hey, you can say it doesn't make sense. This is just what happened. The police said they couldn't do anything. The mother knew what happened and let the guy come back in one night. So Jordyn was worried it was going to happen another night. We could not find anybody who would take Jordyn in for the night. So we told Jordyn, and we were spitballing these things. So it wasn't something that went into action, but a spitballing idea was for Jordyn to keep a phone or something on recording in case somebody came in, so they could at least forward something to the police if something did happen. Not the same.
So then you're saying yes. Your answer is literally you are going around.
No, that is
you're
not.
going around. You're going around and finding an elaborate way to say yes.
No. How is surveillance the same thing as requiring somebody to record an essay? Explain
because
that.
It's requiring
no, it's not. I didn't say requirement. I said, did you ask them? Did you ask them to record their essay? And you basically answered yes.
No, I did not ask. I told them to put up surveillance. You're assuming that we would think that something would happen. I'm sorry, should surveillance not happen when you have literally no other option? Is that the problem
You do have other options, though. If she is a child, if she or they are a child that feels endangered, call it, and again, I'm going to give you options without taking into consideration that whatever else. They can themselves call the police. They can call RAIN, which is the rape. Did they call the Rape and Incest National Network? They called that?
There was no rape. There was no rape to report.
It is sexual battery against a minor. It most definitely would count underneath Rape and Incest National Network. Any sort of sexual abuse like that.
They couldn't do anything.
So again, calling Rain is another resource in which you have the power of a multi-million-dollar national network that will specifically try and find housing for you or ensure that they involve CPS or someone else to make you.
How long does it take? How long does it take?
That's really difficult to know. It could be immediate, but Rain has hubs everywhere. So I work at one.
Could be immediate. May not have been.
I also have a clip here. Can we play it real quick?
Go for it.
Through from here.
So just join the live. I'm streaming my window here to you guys. Okay.
No, I know what the clip is. I don't need to.
Okay.
And have a battle plan and a game plan ready for the weekend.
I'm not necessarily disagreeing here, and I think that's a good idea. But the one issue is her mom doesn't like her being away from home, so it's going to be hard to sell. How are we going to handle that?
Is there maybe a friend they could pretend like they're sick and like, oh, I really need to go over there to help for their sake?
I don't think she'd even let that go by.
Well,
like her mom's a dick.
Yeah, when you can't get it in legitimately, lie.
Well, yeah. I'll leave that to her discretion. Or her other option is, of course, to set up that camera tonight and see what happens.
Yeah, that's one thing I think should happen either way, is get that camera rolling just in case. Because the moment that's caught on footage,
those are pretty cheap, aren't they?
Why are you talking about it like setting up like a nature preserve trail camera? Come on.
And what other options do you think were had at the time? Because you said that it may be, but it may not be. So what else?
They were underage at the time, right? They were underage.
Hold on. You said so many, but you listed one. You can have the theatrics.
Calling a neighbor teachers, calling an aunt, calling an uncle. If they had literally walked next door,
there was nobody. That's the point. There was nobody.
I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe that the best option available was.
They were 16, by the way. They were 16. I'm so sorry, guys. They were 16 at the time. You're basically advising somebody to produce.
Yeah.
No, that is not the case.
Yes, that is what that is.
It is.
No, that's not what that is, and you're an idiot if you think so.
Lio, you're literally.
Well, hold on.
Your voice.
Hold on. The child was just. Hold on. The child was just run out of the room with recorded evidence that the person made an attempt. That's what would have happened here. How are you implying that means I should let them get assaulted or that it's recording? Are you really a paralegal? Because I don't think you are. If you're,
I don't know why you call me a paralegal. I understand that that's often some people's attempts to try and invalidate my experience because it's much more common for women to be paralegals than men. But that's not correct, and I'm not going to play with that. Yes, I'm a lawyer.
I specifically said she's a lawyer when I asked.
Didn't you say call me a paralegal if you want? Or did I
said you're welcome to do whatever you want. I expect this sort of behavior, especially from someone in your age bracket, to either invalidate my education or invalidate what I'm stating. I get that, but I don't care to talk about that. That, again, has nothing to do with you stating, set up camera, like setting up a phone or a camera just to record. But what you're telling that person is, I can't do anything right now. So your best bet is we hope it doesn't happen, but set up a camera so if it does, you've got hard evidence. You have to see that.
Police, yes. I have to see that as what? Trying my best to make sure somebody's safe if I can? Because we had no other options. You can sit here 5 years removed out and play pretend like you would know any better. You weren't there. You don't know what happened. I don't
have to use hindsight. I have foresight, and foresight says this is bad.
Foresight. Magic.
Yes.
Right? What is the word you guys use?
She actually is training in this.
Yeah, I'm sure they had.
So she's taking the classes.
Which is why she had to go look it up right now, because she has training in the classes. That's why she had to look it up and Google it, right?
I was demonstrating to you again how quickly and easily that information is and available at your fingertips.
No, I didn't ask you for a demonstration. I asked
again, if you're talking about gathering information, I can walk you through the exact way to do that. If somebody comes to you and says that they have had a cyber sexual crime being committed against them, the first question is always, what information or evidence do you have to support this? And I need IP addresses. I need more information about what they have been using in order to do these things. I'm sorry?
IP address grabbing is doxing, though.
So again, I'm not an online predator hunter. You asked me specifically what I've been trained to do when it comes to cyber sexual crimes, and that is one of those things. Having an IP address as well as a name.
Hold on.
Okay.
No, I'm not. You're not going to run around with this one. You're not going to run off with this one, because this is what's been happening ever since you came in. I've asked you some very specific things, and you have not answered, because I asked you initially, what is the training they gave you? I asked you what qualifies as an investigation. You went and Googled something. That is not you having inherent knowledge. Secondly,
you never asked me what an investigation is. You said what would count as that, and I said I would never count anything I did as an investigation.
I asked you what tailors that to you. I asked what your standard does, what your standard is.
So I'm telling you right now what my standard is. You just interrupted me answering your question about how to report a cybersexual crime. Like, I'm trying to give you an answer. So those are things that I would do in order to make sure. I would then make sure that that person would have to realize that whatever accounts are associated with the cyber sex crime would have to be abandoned effectively, because that is also evidence, unfortunately, much like clothes from a sexual assault. So those are all things that I would start helping them do. I would also go, and there are people that we have that are experts in being able to help someone cover up their tracks, create a new online anonymous profile if they so wish, go through and redact everything in order to protect themselves. But that's what I would do. I would then gather and collate that information, and I would call in to my local FBI, because if I report it at my local FBI, it's still in the FBI, like the federal database, right? I can also, if I want, call the FBI where I believe the cyber sex crime has actually happened and give them that IP. They should then be able to identify whether that's within their jurisdiction or not.
I would also like to add that, I'm willing to bet that in those trainings and in those courses, they never advise you to tell a victim to produce CSAM. So
no. We have the unfortunate problem of a child or someone calling in and alleging that it's a parent. That is, to me, an all hands on deck situation, because the first thing I want to do is help them figure out how to find a place to stay as safely as possible. Police officers often have vouchers that they can give out to a local hotel or motel where you can provide that to them, and they will, I believe, house you for at least up to a week or a few days. Again, this is very dependent upon where you're located, what that department has, how isolated the department is, etc. But going to any police officer and saying, I feel unsafe with this adult in my house, and I don't know what they're going to do, should be more than enough to trigger them immediately helping you find a different place to go and be safe. And if it doesn't, that is a great lawsuit for police corruption.
The answer to what you said, or the keyword, is should. Doesn't mean they do. Police fail all the doggone time, and you know that. There's no way you're in your profession and you don't. I am going 100% off of the information we had at the time. The police did fail, just like they failed many other times. We're doing the best we can with what we had. We did not have a place they could go. There was not a friend that would keep them. Their mother was not interested in keeping that man out of the house at that point.
Unfortunately, though, Lio, at that point, from the way in which you set yourself up, it is no longer appropriate for you to try and either keep suggesting or even trying to house them. That's that type of closeness that we are constantly advised against. Excuse me?
House them?
Or take them in. Yes, whoever. Because at that point, whenever you are so personally enmeshed in that case, you are unable to provide the type of necessary, detached advice that is required in a lot of these cases, whether they are painful or not. It sucks whenever there are kids involved in cases like this. And it really sucks when it feels as though there's no one else or no adult that will help them. There are, though. A, and B, that would never necessitate putting up a surveillance camera to potentially record another assault.
It wasn't even something that was done. It was an idea.
I understand that, but for somebody who professes to be the one adult in this community, I can't even believe that went through your head.
What community are we talking about now? This happened 5 years ago.
Oh.
So you're telling me that I should, hold on, that I should have either let them get assaulted, or, because here's the thing, either I let them get assaulted in this possible case, or we have something that we can at least pass to the authorities that'll make them actually do something over it.
So you're not letting anything happen because you're still just an internet stranger. You have no authority or ability to do anything other than maybe giving a sympathetic ear. You are not letting anything happen. The actions of other people have nothing to do with you. But again, the fact that you did, I'm more surprised that you aren't even aware of these. I didn't expect that you would have no knowledge of these resources, because of your continued like involvement in this. I'm just really shocked that you like didn't say, let's call Rain, let's call any of these other things. And again, Rain will answer your call. They're not going to hang up on you if you say, my mom's boyfriend is doing things to me at night. And they're like, well, is it penetrative? And you say, no, they're not going to hang up on you.
They will talk about anything when it comes to sexual assault. It doesn't matter if it's penetration. It doesn't matter if it's, inappropriate groping. It doesn't matter. If it's sexual assault of any kind.
Talking is one thing. Talking is one thing. This is about in the here and now. How do we protect that individual?
It's a sexual assault hotline and helpline. It's a hotline specifically for instances in which people feel this isolated.
How is it going to How is it magically going to do better than the local PD?
So again, it's going to magically do better because they actually take rape accusations and sexual assault things seriously. And it's going to do better because it's going to provide them with other resources they may not know. There are local RAIN chapters that have housing and have other ways with which to provide housing all over this country and in a lot of local states. There are always other options available. All you would have to do,
but you
again,
already admitted. You already admitted.
I think you're being deliberately obtuse. I've heard you speak, and I would. You're much smarter than this.
I don't know about that one.
So I do want to address one thing. There's like an inconsistency here as well, because you keep saying that the mother didn't want to kick the boyfriend out. What actually was happening, the boyfriend wasn't there for another night. The boyfriend was just there to get his things that were while Jordyn was like locked in a different room. So that's just a lie.
He was no, that's not
the mother. The mother was not having him stay over another night.
Hold on. Based on what? Where are you getting this information from?
That is that's basically
No, not
you.
No, you didn't get that from me. You're saying that he was just allowed to come get his things. Where did that come from? Because I've never said anything like that.
I'm pretty sure that Jordyn said this themselves.
When and where?
It's not really, I don't know why you keep demanding citations right now, because even whenever she's provided you citations, you really definitely like dodged, dipped, dived, ducked, dodged, taking responsibility there. I find that this is just like a fluster, like
I challenge.
Yeah. Okay, but whenever you're unsuccessful, I don't think it's fair to continue demanding those things.
I used to believe that you're like a predator hunter who does things in a responsible way. You have not provided any evidence to me in this entire call. I've been the only person who has been able to actually provide different links to you or even show different videos. So you can claim that like, you're just asking for evidence. I would ask for evidence of any person who has ever been arrested because of your actions, or anybody who has ever had any consequences because of your actions.
As far as arresting, I can't tell you, because believe it or not, I can't arrest somebody. That's not up to me.
What is the point of you predator hunting?
Depends on what you mean by consequences.
What is the point of predator hunting?
To the police in hopes they'll actually do something. I've been very clear about that. If you're going to sit here and play the game of, well, if you were better, the police would have been, that means nothing and you know it. There have been plenty of women that have been raped, plenty of people have been assaulted. You're not going to sit there and say that to them either. So let's not try to play that game here.
So,
I do literally everything I could to report things to the police.
I would never say that to a survivor of rape, but I would absolutely say that to the man who had allegedly been advising them in order to either report it or do something that would give them some sort of autonomy back. Shame on you again for invoking those things when you clearly don't even care to know. I don't know why you're being so reluctant to even just accepting that we're giving you knowledge right now. This would technically make you better at your entire shindig.
Hold on. I never said I'm not receptive that you're giving me more knowledge. That's never been the point. Why do you think I asked for those things?
To prove that I didn't know it and to try and do a knowledge test or a gatekeeping test.
You were calling her a paralegal the entire time that she was in here. So
yeah, because I thought she said earlier that I could call her one.
I just told you when I brought her in, I was bringing in a lawyer.
Yeah, and then she said, call me a paralegal if you want to.
Yeah, just because I expected you to begin doing that. I immediately expected that.
Okay, then I didn't expect that to be a pejorative, so I apologize. That wasn't something I picked up on. I didn't know you.
It's usually not a pejorative. It's never is to me, but it's often done by men like you in order to either invalidate that the woman has accomplished something or try to call down and say that she hasn't actually accomplished what she stated in that moment. And it's usually done to female doctors as well by saying you sound more like a nurse. Yeah, I think you understand this.
What do you mean men like me? What do you mean men like me?
I mean, obtuse people, especially pretend to be woke when I don't think you give a shit about anything from LGBT. I don't think you care anything else. I think you're probably 2 steps away from wearing a MAGA hat. And right now, you caused more harm than the people that were predators that you've hunted.
You quite literally one of your criticisms.
No, hold on. No. I'm not going to let that get. You're not going to run by that one. No, we're not going to ignore that. Number one, I'm Hispanic. Why would I be MAGA? Secondly, I don't care about LGBT people. That's MAGA. Macaw for all I care. Why would I care about anything in relation to MAGA? I don't like those people, and they certainly don't like me based on ethnicity alone. And you sitting here making claims, well, you pretend to be woke, you don't know dick about me. And also saying that I do just as much, if not more harm than actual predators. What are you smoking?
You do.
Like, seriously, prove it.
So again, when people come to you expecting to both feel safe and to not feel minimized. Also, let's not even discuss the way in which you treat victims or survivors when it seems like a sexual kink for you to start asking if they get off getting other people predated upon. I've heard that call, whether Peaches meant to release it or not, and you are disgusting for that in particular.
That call is awful, and you're right, I was disgusting for it, but no, it's not a kink, and that's a gross accusation to make, and I do not appreciate it.
Prove me wrong.
Look, hold on. I get that at some point, because of the idea of me that you constructed in your head, you think this is some form of taking power back from other people that have done this to you, but I haven't done those things to you, and I don't appreciate that. And I'm not going to do those things to you. I didn't say paralegal as a pejorative. I literally thought maybe that was a more specified version of what you're doing. I do and continue to apologize for that. I'm not here to take the piss out of you for your profession. If you are a lawyer, as you have stated, good on you. That's hard doggone work. I'm not going to sit here and undervalue that. It's why I asked for the information that you have given me.
I mean, I appreciate the compliment, but still, I think whenever you yourself have held yourself out as being Christian, being an incredibly moral, an incredibly decent person. I went to a Jesuit college. I've grown up with Jesuits my whole life. I went to a Catholic law school. I know what that's morality is supposed to be like, and it's never been exhibited by you towards many of the people. I wish you stopped hiding behind trying to say that you're trying to do the right thing and treating any of these people this way, and just said that you liked bullying people. If you want to like bullying people, that's okay.
Yeah, it is.
So you want me, hold on, you want me to admit to the construction of me you have in your mind? Because I'm not going to do that. I know who I am. And yeah, I've screwed up. Every man has sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And also Catholicism, no thank you. You are sitting here basing your idea of me on a construction you have created while knowing...
I'm basing it on your own words. If I can't
there's plenty of evidence.
Hold on. No, no. How did you base on my own words that I'd be interested in Trump's movement? I'm curious about that one.
You just sound like that type of person.
Oh, so it's an assumption. You don't have anything.
I do have something
there.
I do have something to prove that I do think you are virtue signaling, and I don't think that you really care that much about any like sexism or anything LGBTQ or whatever, right?
Every human being virtue signals.
Okay, but I think it's a little bit extra with you. It's a little bit extra with you. You called Leia something a pick me.
Yes, I did. That was funny.
Okay. That was okay. You have made jokes about
boys, that too.
Okay. You would never tolerate Peaches having other people talk jokingly about Peaches getting, raped by you or whatever, or banged by you, but you would do the same to other people. Even the Rosa Rey Ramsey call, right? You're calling her a hole, you're calling her whatever. The Arab guy, that you had in the call, you made jokes about whether you said basically, unlike you, my family line actually splits. These are that's actually racially tinted, right? Calling him an animal.
How is that? Hold on. How is that racially stinted? My implication is that he's inbred. It's not about race. What are you talking about?
You called him an animal as well.
You're trying to prove that I'm
No. Here's the thing. Maybe if it was somebody like a Westerner you were talking to, I wouldn't think that. But there is way too much evidence in that one call alone for me to think otherwise. What are the common stereotypes of people in the Middle East? That they're inbred, that they animals, that these are common jokes that people use.
And you're saying that I used all of these?
Yes.
I think you're much smarter than you like to pretend, and you do these things on purpose, and you're not used to people your age calling you out for them. So I'm going to go take my boss husband on a walk with our dog. Thank you so much for letting me call in. Great job.
Go for it.
Okay, thank you for being here. Everybody say thank you to Barb because she knew the Section 230 better than I did, so I figured. But I guess like the last question I would have for you, I think, is, how do you define like predatory behavior?
Well, predatory behavior, hold on 1 second. Are we referring to an adult, or are we referring to this in relation to a child? Because there can be some variance there.
Sure, either one.
Okay. For an adult, predatory behavior can encompass things like stalking, harassment, sending nudes, receiving nudes, and then sending them to other people. There's a few things.
Are there non-sexual predatory behaviors?
Now, as far as, well, of course, I mean, somebody can prey upon you to murder you. That's still classified as predatory, or they can prey upon your information and get out of there.
Okay.
Steal your identity.
Yeah.
We're talking about sexual predation.
Well, no, I'm just talking about predatory action in general, right? Would you go after somebody who displayed predatory action in a non-sexual way, and what would be the line for you?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
Would you ever go after like somebody who does predatory behavior in a non-sexual manner online, and what would constitute that for you?
We're talking about harassment and stalking, stuff like that, or making threats. I would, if I'm aware of it, and I'd report it to the police. That's kind of what we do here.
Okay. Do you think that like going after people in the way that you do, like, it is predatory? Because, it's bullying mentally compromised people and people who are transparently weaker than you, right? And children. So, I mean, I think that could very well qualify as predatory.
Depends on the incident. As far as the Rosa call, no, I was a scumbag there, and I, again, will not sit here and justify the way that call went and what was said there, and I've been consistent about that. Now, as far as whether or not people are on the spectrum or whatnot, it all depends on what happened in those calls and what was going on there. As far as people weaker than me, well, that depends on what they've done. Unless, of course, you're of the opinion that if somebody's weaker than you, that it's at no point should you confront or tell them what they're wrong or report them, in which case that's a very odd value to have.
No, but I'm saying doxing people and threatening to dox people, threatening to call parents, threatening to get their personal lives involved with things, I think that is predatory behavior.
Oh, we've already had this conversation, and you couldn't take consistent on that either, because you have a difference between what you think is acceptable online and what you think isn't acceptable online. So you and I aren't going to see eye to eye on that at all. You made that abundantly clear.
I don't think it's appropriate, even in person, to look up somebody's address or look up somebody's personal information.
We were talking about contacting parents in general.
Right. If you're in front of the parents,
but you think it's appropriate. You think it's appropriate to defend somebody's immoral actions. You think it's appropriate to sit here and have somebody on that contradicts themselves in what they state the law is versus what was actually said. You think
they're
it's
a lawyer,
to make random accusations of some. They can be a lawyer and they can still be wrong. They gave me specific parameters that would count for, and Kumo met every single one of them.
I don't think so. I think that I think, again,
then you need to go back and re-listen to that call.
Okay.
Because I've already proven a few times here that your research isn't very good.
I understand that you're upset right now. Okay. But I'm just talking to you calmly here. You sound like you're upset.
Mm-hmm. For now. Well, I think you need to learn how to read people a bit better then.
I'm okay.
You've heard me yell at people. You've heard me raise my voice. You should know how I sound when I'm upset.
You can still be condescending without raising your.
Does that mean I'm upset?
Certainly can be. Yeah.
Okay, you've been condescending to me in several cases. Did I upset you?
I don't think I've intentionally meant to be condescending towards you. I apologize.
Yeah, you have. Come on. What is it you said to me earlier? If you just want to be mean to people, just admit it. Well, why don't you just admit it?
Oh, I like being mean to people. I'm not somebody. Yeah, I'm not somebody who's claiming to have like a moral high ground to anybody. I just like to call out people.
And neither did I, but you'll claim that I did.
No, you
and
certainly
neither did I, but
were.
You'll claim that I did.
If you are marketing yourself as a predator hunter, you absolutely are.
No,
why should anybody trust you?
That is your personal opinion on that, and I'm not held to it.
Why should anybody trust you as a predator hunter if you're not even going to hold yourself on a higher moral ground?
I try to, but I'm human and I fail. Why should anybody trust you on your opinion when you can't do basic research on things you'll claim on your show?
So I'm not a predator hunter. I am a drama streamer with a side of politics.
So that makes it okay. Okay, but should your audience not trust you then?
I think I've been very consistent. I think I've been very consistent for a drama streamer, actually.
You haven't
yes.
been. You haven't been, because you're sitting here claiming that, well, trust XYZ. Should your audience not trust you? Yes or no? Should they trust you?
They should know that I'm here to entertain them.
That's not what I asked you.
I'm not here to give them life advice.
Not what I asked you. I asked you if they should trust you. So yes or no question, not an essay
trust
question.
me. Okay, sure. Trust me, because it's a more complicated question than you would think it is, right? Trust me with what?
Oh, okay.
Exactly, right? I am not here to give people...
Trust what you had to say.
You know what? Don't trust me. Don't trust me, because I am not here to give you life advice. I'm not here to tell you how to live, any of my audience members. But I think you try to present yourself that way. I think you try to present yourself that way. I'm just here to call you on your...
Wait, but number one, you've done a piss poor job of that. And number two, if that is your value, that they shouldn't trust you to give life, to give life advice, then why should they trust you to hold anybody else accountable or against their own crap? Because if you're not here to give that sort of advice, if you're not here to get that sort of introspection, then you're right, they shouldn't trust you.
I'm not a self-help channel.
That's my point.
I'm not a predator hunter channel. I'm just here to entertain people.
Nope, and neither am I. No, I'm not a predator hunter channel either.
You said that you're not, but you just admitted. You said you admitted earlier in the call that you were still ongoing in participating in this Necopon investigation.
Yeah, because it's the one thing I still still owe somebody. I literally said that I'm not taking on any more cases. That's in the video that you totally obviously watched and made notes about. Which is also why I know you didn't actually come into this with good faith, because I know you've done 3 streams about it previously. Cute art, but you could do better at your presentation.
I'm
the point is you're sitting here saying that you're not here to what? Entertain now?
No,
you said you were.
I am here to. I'm here to entertain. Absolutely, I'm not here to make like whatever cute art you're talking about. So
I said that the art's cute. I said that your presentation isn't good.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, my audience seems to be okay with it, and I'll probably get better over time. So
I'm sure you will, and hopefully I will as well. But my point is still my point. You say that they shouldn't trust you, but here you are saying that you're going to hold people to their own standards and you're going to point out hypocrisy, but they shouldn't trust you by your own words. So what's the point?
They shouldn't trust me.
Get on me for virtue signaling.
Here's the thing. Here's the difference. My aim with my channel is to not give any of my audience members advice.
But you do.
I do not.
You do. You do. What did you just tell them? Well, if you're going to get involved in this, you should do X, Y, Z thing. That's advice.
That's for you.
Your audience is listening to you giving advice, but it's still you giving advice. That's the point.
But
and you've advised your audience before as well. You just did earlier. Don't trust me. That's advice.
Yes, because you asked me. I'm having a conversation with you.
Yeah, but you're still giving your audience advice. I don't think you know how this works.
My audience might pick up things from me, but I'm not intending for... I've told my audience explicitly plenty of times that I'm not here to, I'm not here to be some moral grandstanding person.
But you are. And you do.
I don't think so.
Because here's the fun thing about virtue signaling. You are. Because every single human being does virtue signaling. You, me, your friend, Leia something, every single person does it. Virtue signaling is simply stating what your virtues are. Or your values are.
Not really. Virtue signaling is stating values that you think will appease a certain crowd for your benefit.
And that's what you do on your channel.
No, I have people who disagree with me all the time.
Because it benefits you. Yeah, they can disagree with you, but that doesn't mean you don't virtue signal.
Well, I think actually for a lot of my early on stuff, I had a lot of hate watchers. So that ended up being like pretty that ended up being pretty good for me, actually, because I turned them into fans. But I think there's a huge difference. Again, you are claiming to be this, person who people should trust and come to if they have a problem with a predator, right? And you are not really holding yourself up to that moral standard, I feel.
Actually, at this point, I told them just to go to the law enforcement officers.
Okay.
My community should be safe for people who have dealt with that stuff. What?
That's totally what's happening with the Necopon case, right?
Necopon has been reported to the law enforcement officers.
Okay, and you're gathering evidence still?
Several times.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're going to be talking about it publicly, because one part of doing any sort of thing like this is, excuse me, one thing that is a problem is that they sometimes do, or more often than not do, get away regardless of what you do. So all you can do is inform your community or a community of who this person is and what they've done, so they have less of a chance of getting away with it again.
Okay.
Or do you disagree with that?
I think it's a bit more complicated, because then you're going to have people who are influenced, who feel, especially if you have younger people in your audience, they are going to try and go out of their way to get their own evidence. I think making predator hunting content is a pretty dangerous game. Okay.
It's a good thing I'm not doing a lot of it going forward then. Just this one specific thing I'm talking about and moving on from that. Anything else you got for me?
Nope, I don't think so. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
I will say there is one thing that's very interesting to me. One of the things you said you were going to talk about is the found family. You never got to it.
We never did. But I will give you my opinion if you want, but yeah.
No, I don't really need it.
Okay.
But I hope you have a good night, and I hope you had fun.
Yeah, thank you for joining. I know it probably wasn't the most fun for you, but I appreciate it regardless. So.
I've heard worse times. This is somewhat entertaining.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Have a good one. All right, chat. That was fun. Where's my camera? Camera, what's going on? Just a second, guys. Why is my Hello? Camera? Hello? Camera? Okay, chat, how do we do? Oh my god. Camera! What is going on? Why is my camera not working? Guys, what's going on? Why? Am I still in a call? No, I'm not. Okay, thank God. Damn, dude. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm so happy Barb was able to come in. I am very grateful to her. Thank you so much. And give me a second, guys, because I know my camera is not working for some reason. So, Star, my POC queen, you did so well. That's so funny. Thank you. Yeah, I hope you guys liked it. I told you I have a method to the madness, okay? All right? I told you I have a method to the madness. Try not to doubt me too much, okay? Try not to doubt me too much. You know, part of the thing is, you know, part of the thing is making yourself look. I think part of my strength is that people underestimate me. They underestimate me. And I think I can use that to my advantage in a lot of these situations. So, and I also really like Barb because she also relates to that. People will often underestimate her. So she's so baller. She's so based and so smart. So yeah, that was fun. And yeah, I know people want me to start yelling at people like right off the cuff. It's just not my style, okay? If we're gonna do something, I'm gonna do it my style. My style is let them underestimate me and we'll get there. So Leo telling a lawyer she's wrong was a wild moment. That was so funny. Now that out of the way, tell us how you really feel. I think I explained how I really feel in that debate, did I not? Well, interview, right? I feel like I explained exactly how I feel. I feel like it's just irresponsible. I guess maybe for the things that I didn't say in this interaction, the things that I didn't say that I think that I didn't get to say everything I wanted to, right? That's because, you know, some of the stuff I didn't want to get too into the weeds over. I know people were in the chat like freaking out about certain details, like Star, it's this call, it's that call. If we get too far into the weeds, then it just kind of detracts from the overall argument, right? He's gonna keep asking for evidence. It doesn't fucking matter. I'm the only one who's providing evidence. Like, who cares, you know? So I didn't want to get too caught up on details. But, you know, there were some really good points that people brought up in chat. I think the fact that not only did he like talk about Jordyn recording their essay. I mean, that's incredibly irresponsible and insensitive, honestly, to a victim. And I think he's talking about being manipulated by like a 25-year-old, right? 25-year-old in another country, but has no sympathy for anybody else who could possibly be manipulated, especially a mentally compromised person, right? Like Rosa trusted Star Giant. He's saying that she should have known better. She's mentally compromised. She literally was talking about demons in her head, okay? Stardust, you have peer-reviewed citations that I'm a creep. Yeah, so anyways, I hope you guys like that. You were weed whacking and he was watering the weed. Yeah, I was trying. So, I'm curious about the shotgun call people keep mentioning. I think the person who is at the center of that call doesn't want that to be covered. So I've been trying to be nice. A lawyer said he comes off as MAGA. Yeah, that's true. Or MAGA. I really like that. I really like that. MAGA. So yeah, that was interesting. There are a whole bunch of other notes. I have to look at my notes because I had so many things. I had so many timestamps and I never really even got into them because it was already taking so long to just go over like the broad overview. So like he talked about Rosa being a stalker, being crazy. If that was like the main problem, why wasn't that addressed in the call? They're just only going at her for the Discord server, claiming that Rosa's a liar. Okay, why does that matter? Does it matter? Does she deserve to be like talked about that way? When in his apology, he brought up that she was on the spectrum, but not that she had brain damage, not that she had seizures, not that she had PTSD or her nightmares. He didn't apologize for making fun of any of those things, you know? So it doesn't matter, Star, you destroyed him. Thank you. Yeah, he was upset. He was really upset. Endos was not even the victim. Why was she in the call? Well, that's the thing. Endo's video did not indicate a victim at all to me. I watched that video, and if anything, it showed me that Endo was complicit in a lot of Nekopon's actions. Endo admitted to taking part in helping helping Neko with certain actions. So like like things like guilt tripping people, manipulating people, and then their excuse, I don't know what their pronouns are, their excuse is, oh, I was just a dumb child. You were 17. You're almost fully formed. I will give you a little bit more leeway than I would give to somebody who's 25, but you're 17 still. You shouldn't have done it. I know you are in good faith because you did research. Yeah, apparently there's a new document out, by the way, but I think I'm going to save the new document regarding the Poppy Xena stuff for tomorrow if we do cover it, because I want to, I need a little bit of a break. So, and it was literally just the friend to the victims. Endo admitted that in the Rosa call itself. Yeah. And there is no stepping in. Like, he's saying like, oh, I don't present myself as like morally superior to people. Yes, you do. When you start adopting people on the internet and making yourself their dad, what do you think that means? What do you think a predator hunter is? You don't think predator hunters have to present themselves as morally superior? Sorry, he said you were going to ask about found family. What are you going to ask him? I'm curious. I guess I always find this found family thing very suspicious to me, because I don't think a lot of these found families, they don't act like actual families. With families, like, love is meant to be unconditional. Love to your offspring is meant to be unconditional. Maybe not to your parent, but definitely to your offspring, unless they do something really crazy, like kill somebody. Love is meant to be unconditional. And the whole found family thing, this is somebody who's admitted that he didn't want children because he was afraid of doing what his father did to him. People think that doing this whole found family role play is going to be easier than actually having a baby and raising it, because they think, oh, this person's an adult, I don't have to deal with all the hard stuff. When in fact, it actually is when people are adults, or they start getting their own thoughts and feelings, that they actually become much harder to be family members with. Having a baby, like, that is so pure. Babies are so pure. They love you unconditionally. They have no choice but to love you. It's built into them to love you. And it's when people get around the age of puberty, maybe right before, right after, that's when they start getting difficult. That's when parents start having problems. I don't know why so many people are under this impression that, the adult kids is less commitment and it'll be easier. No, if anything, it's going to be harder. My baby is currently hugging my back as I draw and listen, lol. Oh, that's so cute. Yeah, people will think that, like, oh, the diapers and feeding is horrible. But, like, also that's essential bonding time with you and your child. And you're never going to get, like, that intimate of time with them, as frequently as you do then. And honestly, I think that's a serious thing that men miss out on, is just like the pureness of the love a baby can give you. So you should have asked how many cats he has. I know. I really wanted to end on the whole predatory thing, because I think you can call yourself a predator hunter or whatever, but predatory doesn't mean sexually necessarily. I really wanted to end on that point, because I would think doxing people and threatening people who are transparently weaker than me or have less power than me, I would think that is predatory. Are you doing call-ins? Maybe. Rosa was even verbally struggling. Yeah, I don't know how anybody can sit in that call and listen to the way that Rosa speaks and not know that something's off. Is there anything else planned for the stream, or was it just the interview? Well, I did tell Brianna wanted me to review a debate panel she was on. So I was going to do that. I think she may or may not pay me for it. I'm not sure. But disclosure, okay? I don't know for sure, but I am going to watch it because I said I would watch it. But I do want to do some call-ins. I think it would be nice. Also, I need a bathroom break, so it'd be really great to have some call-ins, honestly. So people should call in so I can go take a bathroom break and you guys can go entertain the chat. But first, I'm going to pull in people that I know who I know are safe, that, Allegedly at 25 cats? Jesus, dude. Let me ask if some of the people involved want to call in. Let me ask. Let me see. Is Kumo here? And Beckett. So apparently I guess he was watching my stream. I guess Leo was watching my streams when I was covering the drama. I don't know Akumu is Discord or anything like that. Let me ask if Gilded wants to call in. Okay, let me pull him in. Hello?
Hello. Is this thing working? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, word. What's up?
Not much. Yeah, that was interesting. So, yeah, very interesting. What's up with you?
I've been like a mix of like malding and wheezing. Like I was punching the air listening to him like blatantly lie and then sit there and like talk down to you guys. Like knowing what I know about Lio, that guy felt so powerful, like just it was just two women, and to him it's like, oh yeah, I can growl at you and raise my voice and you can't do anything about it. It's like, dude.
Well, I think he made himself look like a fool. Like even if he like he thinks that way, like reality is going to pan out much differently for him. Let me pull in Leia. She's here too. Hello?
Hey, Stardust.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. You did a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I think you really, like, as much as you didn't want to get in the weeds with him, I think you cornered the shit out of him, and that's why he got so upset.
Yeah, I couldn't have done it without Barb jumping in too, because I could say Section 230, but I don't know all the legal speak, right? So
yeah,
she's really good at that. Yeah.
What was that comment he made about paralegals?
She was just, I guess she was expecting him to like demean her because we're used to that on the internet, especially with men like that. She was expecting him to like demean her and call her a paralegal instead of like a lawyer, because I introduced her as a lawyer, and then I guess he just started doing it. So
oh, I mean, a lot of female attorneys do get that, where they kind of do get treated by some male attorneys or other people in the legal field as if they're paralegals. So, yeah, I could see where she's coming from
as well. It happens in medicine as well. Yeah, she was really on point with that one, because like if it's a female, they assume it's a doctor, not a doctor, sorry. They assume it's a nurse instead of a doctor. They'll assume it's like a tech, or instead of a doctor. So, but yeah. Damn, dude. What a interview. I was not knowing where it was going to go. I had so structured out, like I had a whole structure for my questions and stuff, but I wasn't sure when exactly it was going to get heated. And I wasn't sure if I had a clear plan for when to start like firing back at him. I wanted to like be a little bit more heavy on the ad hominems, but it just never came up. It didn't cross my mind while I was arguing with him. I should have gone a little bit harder though, because that dude has no place to be calling people holes.
No, he literally doesn't. I think it's so hilarious. It's so funny that he's like, well, everyone virtue signals. Well, no, they don't. Like I actually have a set of standards and values that I follow. I'm very transparent on the internet. Like what you see is what you get with me in like my actual personal life. So I just thought it's funny. He's like, Leah virtue signals, and it's like, actually, no, that's you. I actually have values.
I love the Lio splaining, how he sat here and tried to tell you what virtue signaling was, and I was like, you know what? Let me be fair. Let me look it up to make sure see if I'm wrong. And I'm like, oh no, nobody virtue signals Lio. It's just you. It's like that thing where you, amidst any sort of like discourse, you're like, look at how great of a person I am. Look at my values and my virtues. I'm such a great person. Also, this person's a terrible person, and you should listen to me and not like that. It's cut and dry virtue signaling. I don't know what else to tell him.
Yeah, he did get the meaning of virtue signaling wrong. He
I'm
also
real quick. You guys keep talking, okay?
Yeah, go to the bathroom. He acts as if like he's not grifting, and it's like, bro, you literally do. You've tried to adjust your standards or your morals. So like, I'm going to assume Lio has morals. From what I've seen right now, I don't think he does, but whatever. But you try to adjust the way that you think or the way that you even speak. You take it to that point to appeal to your audience. So it's like you are a grifter. I think it's hilarious that he like got super offended that he was called a MAGA supporter. And it's just like, but that's what you come off as. That's how you portray yourself. That's the perception others have of you. And then you come on the internet on your channel and you act as if you're an SJW. It's like, just be consistent for once.
Yeah, I don't know how a guy who's going to call himself a Bible thumper and like preach all these conservative, moral, virtuous values is also going to act progressive and like call upon his token trans and gays in his server to be like, I'm sorry, am I wrong for treating someone differently just for transitioning? I
Yeah.
treated him like one of the guys. It's like, okay, Lyle, well, I mean, I think we understand what that implies. You're treating him more callously because he's one of the guys, right?
Yes. Yes. And
Yeah.
that whole thing with Mintheart, where he just straight up tried to lie to Stardust and was like, I've never said that. And it's like, bro, it's in a recorded call. What are you
Oh, he
talking
sat
about?
here and demanded that she provide him receipts, in which, to her credit, she like went above and beyond more than any of us have when we've gotten the opportunity to speak to him. She went
Mhm.
above and beyond, but then when it's her turn to ask for receipts, he's like, "Oh, I'd have to dig that up. Oh, I'd have to go dig through this server. I can't get that for you right now. I know things. Just wait and see. I know things that you don't." It's like, who does this guy think he is?
Yeah. He's a low-cal. He's definitely a low-cal. It's, Beckett made this great point the other day where, Beckett and I would like to be done. I'm burnt out on the Lio Convoy coverage. I'm sick and tired of talking about Lio. Lio is a low-cal, and he's gonna make it to where he can't help himself, and
I
he's
think he's
just gonna keep
solidified
digging
it after
himself the
today.
hole.
I think
Yeah.
he's just solidified his position at like as a lolcow, like
Yeah.
confirmed.
Yeah. I agree with you.
It says TBH Kumo, Lio said you haven't shown proof. Yeah, he keeps saying that. Doesn't mean it's true.
I also like how they jump on the self-harm thing. In his response video, that was his main argument against you. And it's like, you've talked about that on numerous occasions. You've provided evidence. The commentary community, when the self-harm stuff happened, Doc on the radio covered it, and I remember it specifically getting laughed at because you're the one that said, well, my name's shorter, right?
Well, yeah. Oh, that's okay. That's the one thing that pisses me off is I keep getting misquoted. They keep saying I said my name was the shortest. I said my name was the shortest aside from one other person, and they're
Oh,
like,
okay.
"You lied. You said it was the shortest." I was like, "Yeah." I also said that was like That was like my logic at the time, and clearly, I wasn't in my right mind. Like my logic doesn't have to be sound. If I don't know, it's like this selective application and acknowledgement of things. Like I actually pointed out the fact that the recording party wasn't like didn't have their mic input set up, and I pointed out the fact that was blatantly out of context, hence why she's like, clip that specifically towards the end of the clip. I pointed that out to him one-on-one, like I think a year ago now, and it's just like ironic that he's, or not ironic, it's just really telling about what everyone else thinks about him that he's doing this now.
Yeah. I also thought it was shocking that, like, in his response video, because I was there for the premiere because I want to see what Lio has to say. I'm going to be open-minded. But in his whenever he covered the self-harm stuff in the video, or whenever it got to the point of getting to that section, his entire audience acted as if this was like new allegations against you, or like
Oh
this
yeah.
is a new thing to. And
Oh, I
it's
got it
like,
in my
guys,
comments
this
too. They were
happened
like,
years
"When are you going
ago.
to answer for this?" I was like, I've already talked about this."
I'm
Yeah.
going to drag some callers in as well.
Sure.
Oh, sorry, just a second.
No, you're fine.
Oh, I really like the sexual harassment claim because I think we can all say without a shadow of the doubt that what he said to Rosa in that call was effectively the same sexual harassment he's claiming I did.
I was trying to get to that point, I think, when I was arguing with him, and I for some reason it just wasn't like forming in my brain in a full, like, solidified way. So
Yeah. He specifically gets sexually graphic with Jibs in a call, or he gets that way with Rosa, where he says, shut your dumb whore mouth up. And it's like, bro, like, why are you talking to Rosa in a sadistic kind of way? And
There's
it
a
makes
call out
me.
there of him threatening to rape someone's mom. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've seen where there are logs in there where he's typed in the Senate towards minors, and he's like, if you don't tell me your age, I'm gonna plow your mom right in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Why don't you turn yourself in, Lio? Go on. You're so morally correct and virtuous. Go turn yourself in, man. That's harassment. You're a criminal now, buddy.
Yeah.
Welcome to the people who are calling in. Thank you for calling. Sorry it took me a minute to get you in. So
Hey, I just want to be sure we're certain he doesn't have a guardian, right? Because he seemed dumb as.
His wife might be. His wife might be his guardian.
Okay.
Honestly,
I was just checking. All right, okay.
Yeah,
man,
he's completely sound of mind. Surprisingly,
I know that like his autism accent throws you off, but he's okay. Like
he's only 2 years from 40, and he acts like a 70-year-old.
Yeah, you know that's
he tried to use his age as some I know he's never said it directly, but it feels like he kept trying to use his age as some sign of authority. Also, like, talk like a human. No one cares that you know what fallacies are. This is a drama conversation.
Oh yeah, no, he was doing that. People accuse me of being a debate pervert, okay? If anybody's a debate pervert, it is that dude. Imagine pulling out, oh, that's ad populum, that's argument, like, shut the up, dude. Just talk to me. Like, and you know what? I don't give a about fallacies. The reason why, like, who cares if it's, ad populum? Who cares? I don't give a because when I'm talking about what influence you're having on the people around you that you claim to be like a father figure to, like, yeah, ad populum, whatever, dude, that's what we're talking about. Like, it's important. Like, fallacies are not always like well-founded, I feel. So
okay, I want to drop a thing really quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Star's credibility got called out. What Star is a clown, and she's very good at it. Like, goddamn, Jon Stewart was a clown. And the thing is that Star brings receipts. So you can, like, criticize Star's take on because she's clowning around, but when the receipts are the receipts, that shit's just, like, in front of us. So, like, I don't feel like there's any reason to, like, feel like you need to, like, defend your credibility, Star, when it's like, yo, but we're just looking at it. Like, we can all see what's happening now.
For sure.
Like, yeah, I don't think you need to be like...
a little too hot. I can hear the sirens.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. You might want to turn your gain down just a little
bit. It felt like you, like, needed to, like, disavow or whatever. It's like, no. You could be like, don't trust me any more than anybody else, but, like, I feel like you're more credible than a lot of people because you do bring receipts.
I just don't... I don't make any I don't make any claims to, like, know, like, life better than anybody else here, right?
No. That just annoyed me because it's like, dude, we just looked at the logs. Like, what are you talking about? Anyways.
Yeah.
There is a lot of primary evidence out there that Lio is just blatantly ignoring. Where he's just like, he'll try and excuse a behavior, or he's like, yeah, what I did in the Rosa call is appalling. And it's like, well, are you going to own up to the other recorded calls or primary evidence against you of you being abusive or malicious in nature? And the whole describing the difference or describing intention but behind deception is completely wrong on his end. You don't have to have intention to deceive others. You just do it. It's just the action.
He does have intention to deceive others. I thought that was... There was really clear that he was framing things like computer crimes as a way to intentionally imply things, and he was just lying when he was disavowing that. There's no reason to pretend that, like, we all have like at least middle school level media literacy here.
Mm-hmm.
He proved one of my points in my videos, like, on accident too.
Also, like, I'm happy you managed to find the one boomer parent that appreciated the random ass call from the nobody online.
They were probably lying. Like, let's be real. They were probably lying because, like, if some random called me about my kids' activity online, I'd be like, who the fuck is this person? Yeah, thank you. And then I would be, like, terrified for my kid. Like, who are you? Who did you interact with online that they were able to find your information? Like, yeah, wow.
I was actually in Senate firsthand. I can, like, this is, like, purely anecdotal, but I can attest to why he does this. And, like, every time I hear him make these excuses up on the spot, I know he's lying for a fact. He does it because he hopes that, like, the parents will beat the kids or scream at them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do
you have any logs on that?
There are definitely. I think you could check like the septipause.
Wait,
and you might even be able to check a call in
pause. Just I feel like sometimes people say stuff without realizing. Like, you just alleged that he intentionally tries to initiate child abuse. Which, like,
there are other instances.
If we got logs of that, we should probably that's like pretty serious, right?
So
Wouldn't that be pretty serious if he's like trying to inspire parents to actually physically assault their children?
In the Rosa call, he specifically asks what time to call Rosa's mother. So it would be more convenient for Rosa's mom to slap her in the face when she finds all the horrible things out about Rosa.
Oh, and especially the part that Rose is gay. Yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah.
But I think I could probably have some people dig through my channel and his channel, particularly the calls about Septipause, Nekokoda, and then the one on my channel where he even brags about this. But I know personally, like firsthand, and this is like, again, take it with a salt shaker because this is just me saying it. But I know firsthand, like I've heard him, his intentions are like that the kids will get like.
If people are going to continue to like make content about this, I think that's the type of thing. It's like sometimes I think people who are like really, I'm not deeply immersed in this drama.
Yeah,
I will say, I think calling him a Trump supporter is taking it a bit too far. I think he's more so.
Okay, pause. Okay, yeah, it is. But wait, can we just stop? Okay, let me keep.
No, I was going to make a joke about him being.
I know you're going to joke. But my point. Okay, I know, but
Gamergate.
people are joking and yada yada yada. My point is that there's an allegation that this dude uses his community to try to get parents to beat their kids, and then everybody memes past it. So, like, if that's a real thing, let's not just meme over it. Let's be like, hey, this is a pattern that we're witnessing. If people are going to make content about him, instead of making content memeing on his maybe he is, maybe he isn't MAGA, let's look at that. Okay, now you can meme.
Sorry, I don't mean to. I think like the sad truth about that though is in current era, I don't think we're going to be able to go anywhere with that. I mean,
okay, but the sad truth is that I think it's really annoying that people just downplay that all the time.
Oh no, it shouldn't be downplayed.
You're doing that though, right? You're moving past it, and then you're justifying moving past it. Like you are participating in the social construction of the ignoring of that. This is active. You're justifying ignorance here.
I was in Senate, and I was like one of the edgiest members, and like my nickname was Super Hitler, and I was beloved in that server because whenever it was time to like bully an alleged or like someone who was just like losing their mind over like cartoons and I would come in and I would like you know, like the egregious shit that you would hear like random people come in and say to Rosa, that was pretty much me. Like the Rosa call, I'm sorry, I have to be honest, I was asleep, but I most definitely would have been in there bullying Rosa. But I'm not sitting
but
here
at least you're honest about it, right?
Yeah.
I don't give a like, guys, I don't care. Like I bully people online. You've seen my Poppy Xena coverage. Like, I bully people online. I have no, like, I don't care if you bully people. I care if you are bullying people while claiming that you are on the moral high ground.
Yeah. And also, if you're bullying somebody who's, like, literally so mentally handicapped that they can't consent to. Yeah. Like, holy. You've got a whole room full of people bullying someone who can't consent.
Yeah. I remember we had a guy come in.
And then the apology is ableism? No, that's not ableism. That's predation. Okay, sorry.
You don't act like this and like be a public public figures don't act like this.
Yeah.
I don't.
I remember we had a guy come in the Senate and he was like screaming his head off about like Sonic fan fictions, and I come in and I started asking him very basic questions, and we somehow like deviated to learning that the guy had a diaper fetish.
Oh God.
And I remember initiating like a dog pile where we were just making tons and tons of jokes, and we were just bullying him for having a diaper kink. And
how do you feel about that now?
I mean, it was worth it. I just wish I would have recorded it, and because like Lio came in and joined. That's another thing, and that did deviate to like people threatening to call that guy's family.
So wait, are you just reverting to reminiscing about like sadistic past pleasures? Is that what you're?
Fuck yeah, dude! I'm a bully. Yeah, I'm a bully, and I have no problem talking about like the unhinged shit we did in there. In fact, you know what? If any of the like morally virtuous moderators in Senate actually think I'm a bad person, I've never once said they were wrong. I said, you know what? Peaches is right. I'm a sadistic, psychotic asshole. it's just that the things she's particularly alleging about me aren't true. But
yeah,
that's kind of what I'm getting at, is like he wants to sit here and act like any of this is virtuous, and if any of this is like makes him redeemable. He's not like a morally redeemable person. I was there, I engaged in that. Maybe not like the threatening to like bring it to people's personal lives, but at least like the beratement and the threats and like the beta brush clip, the fact that he's trying to say I'm a sexual harasser and I deserve to be doxxed for that is just rich to me, given what I've personally done with him behind the scenes. There are like so many calls in Senate that have been recorded that I know were recorded that they wouldn't hand to me. Like I came in and bullied a guy who had a religion that he made his own religion to justify kids. They wouldn't give me that call. They're like they pearl clutch over that. So I'm saying like firsthand, this guy is like full of like I wouldn't buy any of it when he tries to act like he has any redeeming. Or
so you think he's
qualities.
also just a sadist, but he's like hiding under the guise of moral?
Oh yeah, he's projecting.
Justification. Okay.
He's projecting.
By the way, I think Jordyn, there's a couple people who called in who I think wanted to say something. So Jordyn, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. I'm sorry for not talking earlier, but
all good.
Going back to the Rosa thing, I actually did find a comment on the live stream he still has. Someone pointed out, I'm saying, as someone who's autistic and uses their videos and you watch the videos, I'm just going to say I'm mad. This is why I don't like I'm neurotypical. This is why. Well, the first part is important, but basically he says, finds out I may not be not typical myself, but just check out the video where I express all of this, and if you haven't yet, basically he kind of used the excuse of, well, I might be autistic to kind of defend himself for the whole Rosa call.
Well, he said he wasn't. He said he wasn't using it to defend himself, like him possibly being autistic. But I mean, it kind of was, right?
It's about it, but it was. That's exactly what it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think. Oh, Freaky Goblin also is in here. Freaky Goblin, if you want to say anything.
Oh yeah, sorry. I just wanted to say it was funny him arguing with the lawyer.
That was very funny for me. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it was immensely annoying to me that he misunderstood her when she said, go ahead and call me a paralegal, that she was making a comment about like what female loyals usually get called, like that a lot of times they're called paralegals, which you said earlier in the stream. And
wait, can we relive that moment? Because that all was incredible.
I guarantee he still believes right now that she's actually a paralegal and that she changed her story mid-call.
People missed the first sexism. Star said, I have a lawyer, and introduced her.
Yeah.
And he said, sure, bring him on. And Star said, no, it's a lady. So first he assumed that she was a guy because she was a lawyer. He got that wrong. Then he didn't hear her say that she is a lawyer. He didn't hear the woman talk. Then he misunderstood her joke, and then he did the meme. It was like 4 sexisms in a row.
Can I just say, there's an also added bit of stupidity in this, right? Because he was trying to say like, oh, I thought a paralegal was like a type of lawyer. Okay, dude, you're an idiot.
God.
Like you're.
Wow.
Are you?
I'm a paralegal. I'm not a type of lawyer. Like you have to have a jurisprudence. Like, does he not realize that?
Can I add something else real quick? Is that just to add a bit more, and I think you could put it in with the sexism, is that he started going off on a tangent like, oh, I'm sure you're acting this way because of something in your past or whatever, which he tends to do a lot. He did it with Leia something by accusing her that she has a bad relationship with her daddy or has daddy issues.
Yeah, he said his dad woke him up with a knife to his throat, saying he can do it.
Yes,
he has no room to talk.
Well, look. Here's the thing. Even if one of us did have daddy issues, that's not a mark on our character. That's not saying anything about our character. That's just you making fun of an unfortunate situation, which is like again something that you morally said that you're against. So
yeah,
we all have daddy issues.
The sexist comments are what gets me because he's acting as the moral arbiter of like his 20K or 18K follower community or whatever, the Senate, and then he makes comments like this. Yeah, and then like just to go back to the lawyer talk, he assumed the lawyer was a him when it was actually a woman. But then he also, when she comes in with a Barbie P, he makes the assumption like, or Legally Blonde, he makes the assumption and it's like, oh, Barbie, oh, haha, Barbie, and it's like, bro,
It was so rad. It
What a
was so
weirdo.
many in a row. It was so many in a
Mainly,
row.
I wasn't here for most of it. I kind of watched the beginning of the stream and kind of watched the editing of it, so I can't comment on most stuff.
but this is the guy that's just making rules or setting rules for everybody else to follow, and if you don't follow them, then I think you're a predator, and if I think you're a predator, I'm going to dox you or call your parents or just take it to life ruination because I have no life. And
yeah, well, while he's
It's
breaking
bullying.
it's while he's breaking every unwritten rule of the internet, right? Like the doxing thing is an unwritten rule of the internet, right? Like, like even interacting with minors in a parasocial manner, that's like probably something you should never do as a content creator. I don't know, like, yeah.
I mean, wait, this is really obviously just a copy pasta of the Mama Max, like, adult grooming cult.
Yeah,
right?
it's a really bad copy pasta though, right?
I just want to make sure that we all see that.
Yeah,
Like,
he's like the neckbeard
Well, at
version
least
of Mama
Mama
Max.
Max didn't.
Yeah.
At least Mama Max wasn't bullying disabled kids online, and
We don't know that.
and
We don't
painting
know
it as
that.
pedo hunting.
At least Mama Max downloaded After Effects. I'll give Mama Max that credit. Is that at least he edited?
I wanted to ask you, Stardust, what was your favorite Lioism, having to sit there and deal with him?
I always think it's funny when people get upset with me. So I think like towards the end when he was like really trying to get a rise out of me, and he was like, "Oh, I think you're being condescending on purpose." And I was like, "Well, I'm sorry if I don't know. I don't know why I find that so funny. Some people are like, "Oh, you need to fight back harder." For me, I think that's so hilarious. It's like this dude is so mad at me. So,
honestly,
yeah.
It took me back to the Mr. Girl conversation that you had with him because he was trying to get you triggered or bait you into being angry, and it just didn't work. You just like shut it down.
Yeah.
I
He
also
was
couldn't help
successful
to
at one
notice
point.
when. Sorry, to cut you off. I also couldn't help to notice when he brought up how you didn't bring up found family, and when you offered to talk about a topic, he immediately shut it down, said, "No, I'm good," and just left the call.
Yeah, that was good. I'm gonna have to. Sorry, I was just gonna say for me, it's kind of like a performance thing. I don't ever get like I don't ever get like stage fright, right? But I'll always get like post performance anxiety, and then I'll have to like review because I forget everything that happens when I'm in the middle of it, right? Like I'm in the middle of it, I'm like just focused, and then like it's like amnesia takes place like immediately afterwards. So I don't even remember half of like what I talked to with him. So tomorrow I'll have like better thoughts about like what I liked the most or what I didn't like the most. So yeah.
I got a question, Star. Would you offer to debate him again?
Sure, yeah, why not? Why not? I think that would be fun. So
I was gonna say my favorite thing was whenever he thought it, and I believe him when he says he's on the spectrum. Every time he thought he could corner you, it was the same routine. Is he would ask you for your like arbitrary personal like definition of a word, and then try to like Lio-splain it to you as if you were stupid.
Yeah.
Plus, even if he was, it doesn't excuse his city behavior.
Yeah, I mean, I think he is on the spectrum based on like my friends on the spectrum. He seems like them. And like,
I know plenty of autistic people with better morals than I do, so
Yeah,
like,
but I don't feel like that really like it's like yeah, so I think honestly that kind of makes me think you're probably more aware of the rules you're breaking, homie. I don't really think that gives you an out here. Like,
do you think he understood that like a threat of rape has to be specific on the internet? Like someone's address has to be included in the rape, or an address near the person has to be included near the rape. Just a rando on the internet making a horrible comment is not like police call worthy.
No,
so
I mean,
he's just wasting police's time at that moment.
I would,
promise you, everybody at his local precinct hates him.
One thing I wanted to really push him on was like him filing reports that he knows that are not going to go through, but then he was just like, yeah, so what? And it was like I couldn't form the words for more of that argument, so I just kind of let Barb take over. But,
so wait, can I piggyback off that, because I think you're really onto something there, Star.
Yeah,
go ahead.
First, everybody click like. Don't be bitches. Click like. Okay, but
I already did.
Also, okay.
Wait, click like the what?
Not you. The chat. I'm talking to chat. Okay, but also, oh shit! I had a thing. I totally got distracted by the. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Oh yeah, no, the seriousness, reporting it. So one thing that really bothers me is especially after the Mama Max blows up. So they're all like aware now because they saw that happen and they know they're pred hunters. There's no way that there's no like content.
Oh, they were defending Mama Max on Twitter.
Of course they were.
Fascinating.
It actually, Mega Brush is. I'm assuming that's Beta Brush. Are you also Vibe Brush in chat?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the guy that I threatened to rape, and he came in chat and said that he didn't even take the threat seriously. So there you go. Lio's qualifier was out the window.
I don't even know how Lio even got the call.
I've had honestly, I've had so many threats given against me, and I think I've only ever contacted the police one time, and that was because like somebody was talking about like showing up to an in-person event where I was, right? That is the only time. And it wasn't like I want you to arrest them. It's just like, hey, keep an eye out because this person is saying this. I don't know if they're probably not going to actually show up, but you know, it's something to be aware. Like, I don't know. I would have been calling the police and doxing people if I held myself to Leo's standard. I would be like doing that every day. I would have done it so many times. I would have done it like hundreds of times by this point. You know, like
because the way Leo's doing it is he's basically telling predators like, now's the time to hide. That's all he's doing. Now's the time. He's just telling him now's the time to change your name and hide and just be quiet on the internet for a little bit. And
he was trying to equate doxing somebody with sharing somebody's information with law enforcement. There's a huge difference between sharing somebody's information online so you can get clout and attention so other people can bully them, and sharing their information to authorities to prevent them from committing a crime against a child. Let's not pretend that these are ballpark the same.
Well, he not only does like the doxing thing, he makes it sound like he is going to the authorities, but it's like the way that he uses it as an intimidation factor to somebody that he sees that shouldn't be taken seriously. And he does it all too frequently to a point like where we can't ignore what he's done. Like it's a pattern, for sure, a pattern of behavior of I have the ability to look up your docs and I'm going to intimidate you and say it in this conversation so you can do what I want you to do or what I say that you should do.
Yeah, Leo, if you're still listening to the stream, we see what you're doing. You're not actually doing anything noble. You're just using these things as threats.
Yes.
I've been saying ad nauseum on my own streams that like whenever these make these like pedo hunting videos, they're just providing the predators in question and people who they aren't after sort of like a step-by-step guide as to like what not to do, how not to get caught, how not to get outed. And he actually, the Vita case that he even went into after you brought this up, Stardust, is an exact, like, it's almost like a case study on that fact, because after they made all these videos, they claimed the guy Vito was being smarter and deleting evidence, and it was harder to catch him.
So that was another thing where when you confronted him on Jordyn, where like there was like a live stream of, I think, Jordyn still being in contact with Vita, I believe. Am I correct?
Or not in contact, but like having Jordyn like confront Vita.
Ichabod and Vita.
Ichabod.
I think there was a call with Vita too, but Jordyn was made to confront the people that were allegedly preying on him. Yeah, he lied about that.
I do want to also add to that Vita jumped from one niche community to another niche community after the videos, and that's where he got his third victim from.
Wow, Lio. So he really went up to a 17-year-old and said, hey, man, you want to have a slap battle with your groomer? No, too bad.
I just think, I feel like Lio is just, although he says he's stopped doing predator hunting and he hasn't been doing it for a year, I don't care. Like
no, he has a case open. He said he has a case open. He referred to it as an investigation and a case, and he said only one more. He is actively still predator hunting by his own terminology.
I mean, his latest
he
video
couldn't
was
even
about
stay
the
consistent for the life
whole.
of
The latest video was about the whole Star Giant production thing, and interviewing. I think his name was Christopher Mayhem. I never really watched because I stopped caring about the guy.
So even continuing to call yourself a predator hunter, it's just like you get off on hunting predators, and it's
but
not.
He hasn't done it in a year, or sorry, in over a year.
It's not just. It's not just. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Shut the up, Goblin. Stop doing that.
It's okay.
I'm sorry, but I just wanted to add too. In Kumo's live stream, he expressed interest in wanting to also go after Toasty Vanilla.
Oh.
Well, I would love to see these people go after anybody in the FCK server, because I have yet to see any content from Lio, Doodle Tones, or anybody directly disavowing and condemning anybody in the FCK server. I have yet to see any kind of content like that. So you do make a good point, Goblin.
Mm-hmm. That server's released at the Epstein Island of freaking our community.
And it just to go back on the predator hunting thing, you're more than happy to call yourself that, but you have done nothing. You haven't put anybody behind jail. You haven't.
It's a LARP.
You haven't made anybody even regret their actions at all whatsoever. I don't think Joshua Vita is unable to sleep at night. I think that guy he's floating in jail, more than happy to continue with his existence. Like the amount of value that you put on yourself, Lio, is too much, and you're willing to do it to a point where you are trying to gain an audience on a platform because you feel so important, or you're so egotistical, where you need to be the profound or honorable predator hunter, and it's just a joke.
He's literally neckbeard Mama Max. It's just how he's like the neckbeard version. It's crazy.
Yes.
It's the same thing. It's the same found family thing. It's the same ineffective, pretending to do a thing stuff. He did no research on how to actually help victims. It hasn't even occurred to him that okay, I mean, it probably so I think on the back of his mind he's aware of this, but in the real world, he scoffs at the idea of going to the authorities. Like, dude, you know why they're the authorities? Because they're literally paid to deal with this stuff.
And he literally tries to downplay and discredit law enforcement, and acts like him and Peach is on Twitter. Actually, I'm sure they're archived somewhere, but you could see them publicly acting like the law enforcement is useless and doesn't do anything, and so you must rely on predator hunters.
Yeah, of course though. That's just so of course I didn't have that piece. Thank you so much for sharing that, and also of course. Right?
Well,
you have to come to me. I am your savior. I will be the one.
Yeah, I do have to.
I'll be right back.
Sure.
Oh yeah, I just want to say real quick. The thing that kind of bothers me is that the fact that so many people have come out of that general community or group of communities as predators. That indicates one of two things to me. It's either one, there are a lot of people who are getting accused who might not necessarily be predators. Maybe they've done some dodgy things. And then two, that maybe this really is a community rife with predators and how many of them aren't caught, right? And I don't know which one is, well, obviously the second one's worse, but it's still pretty bad if it's the first one where some of them are predators, but some of them are just people who got the end of the stick, right?
Something weird and strange is going on. I totally agree.
Yeah. I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you what it is. And it's just the community, for whatever reason, seems like an easy target for predators. It's that there's a lot of vulnerable people that put themselves out online in the commentary, and predators see that and think they can. There's easy prey.
Yeah, well, sorry, you make a really good point, and more to that. He also uses this to build up his reputation as the guy who calls out, and then he actively abuses that to he actively abuses that platform to go after people who aren't even he won't even outright call up, and he vaguely labels them with the same interchangeable terms he uses for. I think you guys might know freaks, creeps, and degenerates and other weirdos.
Mm-hmm.
He says that about and zoophiles, but then he also interchangeably uses that with people who he won't call that.
So then you're just he's just watering down terminology now. Like he's just like
he's
making it all
what evidence he does get of predators junk evidence, because there's a bunch of this other nonsense like that sounds just like is similar. Oh, I'm saying like too much. I'm gonna go. I got work tonight.
Okay, well, thanks for joining. I'm probably going to end call-ins here too, because I do have to. I am obligated. I gave somebody my word I would cover a panel. So, but
I have one question.
Okay.
This probably isn't us for us to answer, but would you guys say that Pieces and his other children abuse them, or is that just a load of shit?
It's probably a toxic two-way street there.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet it's the recent WIC panel, because I saw President Sunday also do coverage of that.
I think he wanted to give her peaches and cream.
Can I say something too?
Yeah.
Oh, my question mostly is that because of the whole Lio's video, it makes me more question if he really kind of fell for Peaches, because you have two different suicide scenarios. You got Jordyn, who is mentally depressed. Obviously, I don't know exactly what she has. Is going on, but like he implied that he was able to get access to guns, which were not locked anywhere, which is a big red flag, and took this person in. And he's basically complaining about it. But then when Peaches is doing it online, then, I was tricked.
So there, I know, well, okay, I don't want to speak for Beckett, okay? Especially when his girlfriend is here. So, but I know that there is some speculation that there was some sort of attractiveness, whether it was on Lio's end or whether it was on Peach's end.
I wouldn't be surprised, especially. I wouldn't be surprised. I think it was probably more on Lio's end, but especially given that she was talking about how the wife was made to sit down and apologize to her, which is another thing I would have loved to ask him more details about. So, yeah.
Okay, can I say some stuff really quick?
I'm gonna dip so I don't drag this out. Thank you for inviting all of us on. It was
thank you for joining.
Great interview, great stream. I shared it on my community tab.
Thank
posted
you.
My stream.
Thank you.
I never really, I kind of disengaged from like the whole debate thing after like the millionth baby rape analogy from Bunk.
Yeah.
So I definitely, I definitely regret not like still engaging in like not engaging, but watching this kind of stuff because it's great background noise. But thank you so much.
Yeah,
for having us on, and thank you so much for the coverage of this subject. It's really good to see other people invested in it.
I know you've done a lot of work, Kumo, so I don't ever want to like diminish that. You have been working on covering this for a very long time, and I commend you for sticking to it, especially when it probably felt like for a while that there were like no returns on this, right? So I appreciate it.
Respect.
Yeah,
I appreciate your words.
I'll link Kumo's channel as well in the chat, by the way. So, yeah.
Well, you guys have a great night.
Thanks, you too.
I outline my concerns really quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are the things that came up tonight that I think are the most upsetting. He allegedly tries to trigger beatings of children from their parents. He allegedly told a child to film their own essay if it happened. He allegedly has encouraged victims to directly confront their predators. He has allegedly discouraged victims from personally going directly to authorities. He is allegedly received no formal training in this area, despite having repeatedly engaged in it and continuing to refer to his inquiries as cases and investigations. And he demonstrated a lack of awareness of any of the formal resources that are traditionally used, like, was it CARE? No, not.
National Child Exploitation something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I could Google it right now, but anybody could Google it right now. So he didn't do a base Google search. So those are my things that I think were the most concerning off the top of my head. I feel like if we're going to keep digging into this, that's stuff that's worrisome.
Yeah, I want to add. So I'm still bothered with the whole call with Jip's call, because it could have been handled so differently. As in, why are you still talking to this person? If it's due to relapse issues, sure, he might express a bit of disappointment, but the thing that he doesn't understand is that if he really cared about enough for victims of child grooming or anything, he could have at least, actually explored the psychology of it and probably gone to the strengths perspective as a way to build Jip's strengths to see what were his strengths, to see the way to get away from this person. And I just don't like the fact of how he basically just interrupt people when they don't answer what they want them to say. It's like, no. I don't want an essay question. This is a yes or no question. It's like, dude, just shut the fuck up. Let them answer. It doesn't matter, honestly.
Because they're trying to control the whole entire conversation. I've watched so many of his videos. I'm guilty. I'm an art person. I listen to his background noise. I thought it's all freaking hilarious. But basically, it is like, it's just very controlling. So it's very, very, in my way, funny that they say, "Oh, Kumo's controlling the interviews." While he was asking the most open-ended questions the whole entire time. He wasn't making them answer yes or no.
Yeah, and another thing is when someone says they don't know or don't remember, they just be like, no, I'm not gonna buy that. That's stupid. I mean, I get from where he comes from, because there are times when he's like, when he confronts people, they're usually saying that to cover themselves up. But for people who genuinely don't know or remember anything, they don't know or remember anything. Just leave it at that. It is what it is, unfortunately. It is what it is.
All right.
Yeah, he has pieces.
Bye, you guys.
I'm gonna move.
Stardust.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining, Leia. Guys, go check out Leia as well. She's been doing excellent coverage of this. I linked her in the chat. I'll link her again. And yeah, I'm gonna probably call an end to this panel. But thank you all for joining. It was great talking to you all.